Are we live yet?
We're live. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's go.
That's my baby. I'm dying. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they did it! They did it!
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, the time has finally come. Here we are after months of waiting. It is a very, very special episode of In This Very Ring, right here live on A2D Radio. It is our Star Wars special. My God, I am super excited for this. I am your host, Jedi Master Ritz. We've got CT99, or also known as Butters, which actually, the more I think about it, that's very apropos.
Thanks.
Anytime. We have the youngling, Jake Friel, and the grand Jedi Wayseeker himself, Chux.
Yeah.
Wait, put that back up one more time. I need to see it again.
I didn't realize that I was in there and that Butters was Luke. The one I saw.
Oh my God.
The one I saw just had Chux as Yoda.
Oh my
God, that's great.
That's awesome.
God, and I thought I looked hideous, and then I see Ritz, and I'm like, oh, that's even more hideous. Dear God.
Yeah, he's just standing there. He's like, son of a bitch.
Wait, why was I a Force ghost?
Oh
Like-
my God.
All right.
A beardless Force ghost. Dear God.
Yeah, no shit. Let's pay some bills. In This Very Ring is always brought to you by our friends at Body Check Wellness. They are a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 20% off your order at bodycheckwellness.com. Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy. He is our doc. Make him yours. You can check him out at specializedphysicaltherapy.com or Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We're very happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need help, please call 856-651-8117. If you're looking to buy a home, looking for a change in career brokerage, contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty, LLC, 302-682-8820, or check him out at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Can't forget about Manscaped either. 20% off in the shop by using the code A2D. Unlock your confidence and always find the right tools, like a Jedi lightsaber, for the job with Manscaped. And today's show is very, very specially brought to you by our friends over at Feel the Geek. They are the premier geeky, nerdy Facebook group here on Facebook. They were very, very happy and excited to sponsor a Star Wars show tonight. I almost said Jedi. I saw Chuck's shirt, the Jedi Academy. Our topic of conversation, our poll question, which again brought to you by Fuel the Geek. Star Wars is the greatest movie franchise of all time. It would help if I wrote greatest right. Agree, disagree. Gentlemen, I will start with you. Chux, Pete, Chux, Jake, whatever the hell your name is today. Sorry, it's excitement. It's just pure excitement in the soul right now. Lay it on me, guys. Who wants to start?
I can kick it off, I guess, because so I thought long and hard about this because I don't want to be biased. You know, easy like we're doing a Star Wars discussion show, which, by the way, I want to thank you guys, Andy, Butters, for having both of us on. Appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
You know, Rich, I know that we've been talking about this since last year, so I'm definitely happy we finally been able to do this. And it's a long time coming, but so much fun. Anyway, so I thought long and hard about it. Wanted to be fair. I thought about other franchises. I am a huge Ritz. I'm right there with you. Huge Batman fan as well. I tried to consider all the Batman movies, and the one that I would say competes with Star Wars is right now is the MCU. And I tried to say, okay, like MCU is kicking ass right now. They've been kicking ass, and it's hard to find them. They have bad movies. It's hard to find hard to find them because they don't put out a lot. They put out some, but for the most part, they put out some really good movies. So it's really difficult, but you have to also consider the test of time and the impact that the Star Wars movie lore and the movie franchise has done to society, pop culture as a whole for generations. You're talking about this. This is expanding generations. Our generation before us, they were into Star Wars. Our generation is into Star Wars. Now the upcoming generations are into Star Wars. It's last so long that right now you have to agree to the poll because there's nothing right now that touches it. And when I say greatest movie franchise, I'm going to talk about everything. I know that they have shows as well that contribute to it, but just the whole thing together, Star Wars, shows, movies, everything, content, and books. If you read it, and I'll get to the High Republic novels that just got released this year, but everything put together, it's so grand, and it's instilled into our society, our culture so much that I have to agree to the poll.
Mm-hmm.
Jake?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of piggyback where Chux left off. I mean, obviously the MCU's, like Chuck said, it's kicking ass right now, and it's $1 billion franchise, and obviously it's under the same umbrella as Disney, so obviously it's still going to make money. But for Star Wars being around as long as it has, it's been such a cultural phenomenon. Like Chuck said, the books in and of itself have so much more information than the movies and lore and like all the fan created content. There's so much as far as Star Wars content. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of MCU content as well, but you can just go down a huge rabbit hole as far as Star Wars content goes. And it's endless. It's absolutely endless.
Butters, what do you got?
Oh, I wholeheartedly 100% agree to the poll. Ever since I was a kid first watching it, I knew from there that it was just going to be something great. And compared to everything else out there, like, everybody else has said, it's just all around one of the top greatest franchises of all time. Movie, TV, you name it. It doesn't matter. You say Star Wars and somebody is going to say something. They're going to quote it. They're going to, yes, I know what Star Wars is. It's never ending.
Exactly. And Chux, it's great that you brought up Batman, because we are both Batman fans. And I don't know if you caught the Shane Douglas interview, cheap plug time, that Chrome and I did this morning on Lazy Booking. But at the very end, I asked him Batman or Superman, and he picked Batman. So I'm just saying, check that back in the archives. But to answer the poll question, right, is Star Wars the greatest movie franchise of all time? What goes into that, right? And we've all brought up lore, and we keep making comparisons to the MCU, because when you think of franchise movies, you have Back to the Future, you've got Star Trek is in the argument, right, because of the amount of movies that they have put out. Some good, some not so good. Batman's obviously there. The DCU, whatever the hell they're trying to do, is there as well. But you have the MCU and you have Star Wars. And I think they're 1A and 1B, but when you really break down the lore, the MCU it's cut and dry, right? You know what's going to happen. You know where they're going to take it. Aside from some things here and there, like Endgame, how Endgame played out, right? How those big monumental moments played out, you don't know until they happen. Whereas with Star Wars, and as you're going to see tonight as we get into it, there are so many I won't say plot holes, right? But there are so many gaps in the timeline that you're going, well, wait, what was he doing during this point? Kenobi is a perfect example. What's Obi-Wan doing after 3 and then leading into 4? Right? He's on Tatooine, but what adventures does he go through? Why does Yoda go here? And thankfully, you have things like the Clone Wars and Bad Batch and these things that have come out in the last few years that are starting to tie everything together. But we were talking about it at work today. If you look at the generations of fans, you have the original trilogy, you have the prequel trilogy, and you have the Disney trilogy. And there are people that the Disney's the first thing they ever saw Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like for me, the first thing I ever saw was the prequel trilogy. You know, because I was still very young, so my dad hadn't introduced me to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as Phantom Menace came out, Dad's like, follow me. You know?
God, I feel old now. Jesus Christ.
Well,
I mean,
you
the first thing I was introduced to was the original trilogy before the prequel trilogy came out.
Mhm.
Didn't even know, prequel trilogy wasn't even really a thing yet, and it's just like, hey, here's some movies you want to watch, cool.
exactly.
And I'm like all into it, and then it's like you hear prequels, and you're like, more? I'll take more.
But when you look at the end of Revenge of the Sith specifically, right? And how many of us just went, wait, what? That's how this happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't around obviously for the end of 4, end of 5, end of 6, like in those moments. But you watch and go, where does it go from here? And so to say yes or no, you've really got to break it down. I say yes solely for the fact that as somebody that enjoys to write and loves fan fiction and loves lore and loves the whole what if scenario, that it's perfect for me. Our comment section is blowing up. You've got a bunch of people saying agree, a couple people saying disagree. Let's go to them real fast. We got Tom Arnone, the Godfather, made all this possible. Got to hit the Sack Boys. Have a great show. Talk nerdy to me. Kevin Dixon, yay Star Wars. He's dying at the Chux Yoda. I wonder why we have Chux Yoda. Just saying. Brian Wilson chiming in. He agrees. He says, what's up? Frank Vespi, I have to agree with the poll. While I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, that's your first problem. The lore of the fandom, the influences on other films in the sci-fi genre, and countless references in pop culture, it's hard not to disagree. But we do find somebody that does. And it's our very own Ryan Brodo. The best movie franchise of all time still belongs to The Dark Knight. And it's hard to argue one way or the other, because Raymond says James Bond and Harry Potter. Those were two franchises that we didn't bring up.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is another one.
That's it.
Lord of the Rings with the Hobbit and everything of that. So, but Jesse agrees. Childhood nostalgia for the win. Nothing competes. He was born in 99, so the prequels were right around that time. And then we don't talk about it.
Doesn't exist.
Nobody talks about the holiday special, Frank. Nobody does. So it is interesting when you bring up Harry Potter and you bring up Bond and you bring up Lord of the Rings and even to an extent The Dark Knight, because even though it's 3 movies, look at the lasting impact that those 3 movies had on a generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
They're still, for me, I'm sorry to cut you off, but they're still the best comic book movies ever made, in my opinion. They're hands down. So I get where he's coming from.
Right. And I like it from a when you look at an overarching story over the course of 3 movies, where like the Marvel movies, those are individual stories happening in a grander scale, right? And every 5 or 6 or 8 movies, wherever the fuck the number is, they come together and it's, all right, here's our story together. All the pieces of the puzzle for this. And then we put a new bit, right? And so there is that where you can have the argument. For me, I have to say I agree to the poll. It's ingrained in me that if I can take a franchise and go, well, wait, let's change this, and now I've completely fucked an entire universe, I gain.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of similar to sports where like when I talk about like greatness and like talent or being a better player, they're two different conversations. You know, your talent and your ability is one thing, but how great you are. You talk about your legacy and your accomplishments too. And you know, even though like I know this is off topic, but it's a parallel is like, you know, Tom Brady is considered the greatest of all time, and he is. But if you're talking about talent level, he's not the most talented quarterback to ever play. So, you know, in my opinion, the Dark Knight trilogy, or maybe even the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they're better films than some of these Star Wars films, and I get that, especially when you talk about the Disney trilogy. Like those were pretty bad, but you know, even though they're better films, you have to consider again the legacy, the impact that these movies, the Star Wars movies, have on our society, and that's ultimately the factor. Like it's the impact and the reach Star Wars has. Even with their original trilogy, it's far greater than any other movie trilogy can say they have.
Oh, absolutely, and that you can tie it. So you made the tie to sports. We'll make the tie to wrestling, right? In the sense that you bring up the talent and everything like that. Take somebody like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We want to really throw way back in the Wayback Machine. Ricky was never a main event heavyweight title holder, anything of that nature. But when you turn around and you go, holy shit, who are some of the greats? Everybody says, go watch Macho Man Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3. Right? Every human being says that. Right? So there is those comparisons, and you can take it and branch it out into all our different little worlds. And we talk about little worlds, and we talk about branching out and destroying galaxies and things like that. And it's so apropos that these terms are used because we are talking about Star Wars, right? And Star Wars is something to where if you go back and let's start at the Phantom Menace in that era, and that's where it really changes, right? You have the Republic, you have the Galactic Senate, and you're introduced to this little punk kid, Anakin Skywalker. And as somebody who started with the prequels, right, I don't know who Vader is, I don't know what's coming, I don't know anything of that. To turn around, Star Wars was also a hit, our grandparents' parents growing up, and then the franchise will continue. Exactly, this will forever be a lasting impact on it's a generational franchise.
Yep.
Right? So let's talk about, you know, I guess where should we start, right? In the timeline, right? Or the oh Jesus Christ. What is this? Why do we have a Force ghost?
It's a macho ghost.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh god. What the hell is happening? This never ends well.
Ever.
Andy. This is your Force ghost, Andy. From the future, Andy.
God help me.
Don't eat that chicken salad sandwich next Thursday, Andy. It's a mistake.
Wait, stop. You lost me. Nope, I don't eat chicken salad. Get the hell out of here. Piss off.
I think you'd have been more convincing had you said pizza or wings or cookies.
Yeah, like actually give me something. So there is no Star Wars without the Republic and the Jedi. And God, what a clusterfuck of human beings those are. Because it's so crazy when you go back and you watch the Clone Wars, for example, which thank God for the Clone Wars, because it takes all these characters that we've come to know and love over the years and truly expands on them, right? And breaks out and shows you how Padme Amidala is probably one of the dumbest people on the face of face of the galaxy.
Yep.
Right? Which, don't get me wrong, I'm going to jump on my soapbox about her in a little bit. Okay? But the Republic, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Republic was built around morons.
I mean, E.T. was part of the Republic. E.T. species. So, I mean,
Yeah.
And he rests his case.
Exactly. Right. Go ahead.
No. I'm just trying to think. I'm like, you're right. I can't disagree with you as much as I want to disagree with you. It's like it's built around idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, look at Valorum. Look how much of an idiot he is.
Chancellor Valorum.
Well, but why isn't Chancellor Valorum in power? No, you know what? Screw this. We're doing this now. Padme Amidala, you take her out of the equation, and the world doesn't go to shit.
Well, I'm going to say this. Look at her planet mate from Naboo, Mr. Jar Jar Binks. Like,
oh, we're going to do this too?
If you're going to make an argument for dumbness, Jar Jar Binks it has to be Jar Jar.
Absolutely not. No, I will defend Jar Jar's stupidity. And here's why.
No. You want dumbest? You really want dumbest? Why did his name just elude me as soon as I say dumbest?
Because you're the dumbest on the panel?
Besides the point. You know what? I'll come up with it in a minute. I'm trying to remember his name.
Back to my point. Okay, here's why I'll defend Jar Jar and why I love the Clone Wars series. And I'm going to reference that a lot because you do get character explanations in there. Jar Jar, while dumber than a box of rocks intellectually, always had some kind of scenario, some kind of fix. He would literally trip into the solutions of a problem.
Yes.
Okay, he may have created said problem in the beginning, but he will literally trip into certain solutions. Padme, on the other hand, literally let Palpatine convince her that Chancellor Valorum is useless. So as a queen, not a senator, we're not even relevant yet. Mm-hmm. But as a queen, you issue a vote of no confidence.
Who's to say he didn't use some sort of persuasion on her?
But yeah, I mean, you're talking. You're saying that he convinced Padme, right?
Padme. This is point one of a very long list.
I know. Oh yeah, but let me address that point first. He convinced Padme, who was already in a vulnerable state, who had to flee her planet, her system, because they were under siege. What didn't have a lot of guidance because she's a queen. She was what? How old was she back then? She was
14, right?
14?
I think she was 14.
And if you're gonna blame Padme, well, okay, put it this way. Palpatine convincing Padme to do that, she wasn't the only one that he was manipulating. He manipulated the whole Jedi Order.
I'm happy you brought that up.
The whole Jedi Order.
I'm happy you brought that up.
Manipulated.
Oh no, Yoda's number 2. Yoda is gonna get number 2 for dumbest person in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Yoda. I love Yoda.
Oh, I do too.
So I messaged you guys today. I got my hair cut and Revenge of the Sith was on.
Yeah.
And there's no sound, so I'm just watching and reading. You have such a better appreciation for that movie when you don't listen to it, number 1. Okay. But number 2, when you watch it and you listen to Yoda and how he's like, well, no, I don't think we should do that. Right? Don't look at the recordings because I already know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And all these little nuanced things about Yoda. It's very hard to say, Yoda, you didn't get this. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you didn't get this right at all. First of all, hold on. No, I'm addressing this too. Haircut? What hair? 2 things. 1, this beautiful, beautiful thing right here needed to be trimmed down a little, trimmed up, cleaned up, looking nice. But then the top of this up here grows like a fucking chia pet. I am in the barber twice a week to get it just taken care of.
Oh,
So-
you don't want to look like an overgrown chia pet?
No, I don't. I'm content without
You can
it.
get the kids some little tiny trimmers and just let them go at it.
I hate you.
Future barbers in the making.
Oh
I
my
hate
God.
But
Chia.
so back to Padme though, right?
Mhm.
And you watch a lot of stuff about the Clone Wars, and she'll go to Palpatine. And I get it, right? He's a mentor of hers. She'll go to Palpatine and she'll be like, Chancellor Palpatine, the blah 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 blah. Well, no shit, bitch, because now they're gonna do this and this and this because you already told him. Right?
That or he already knows because he's the one doing it.
No one knew that.
I hate you,
Not
Ryan.
even I don't know if I get it, but I can't fully blame Padme when the Jedi Order themselves also didn't know. And I know you used to touch on your thing about Yoda. I love Yoda, one of my favorite characters in all Star Wars. But if you watch, I rewatched the ending of season 6 of Clone Wars when he went to
Dagobah.
no before when he was trying to figure out what his visions were telling him. He went to
the Sith planet.
Yeah, he went to the Sith planet, right? That explains if you take what his actions were in episode 3 alone, then I remember watching it. I was like, why is he doing this? Like, why is he giving up? Why is he being so passive? Like, Yoda could have defeated Emperor Palpatine if he kept trying. Like, I honestly believe that. However, that's besides the point. When you watch those episodes of Clone Wars, you start to get an understanding of why. Because they tell him that it's all about the bigger picture. And he acknowledges to Obi-Wan and to Mace, the war is already lost. Yoda realizes they've lost the Clone Wars, but there's a bigger picture and a better path to where they ultimately will win and bring peace again. But I think Yoda, after that, realizes that whatever has been happening, there's no stopping it anymore. Right, but it's all about preserving that long-term goal, which he has that vision. He had that vision of, they told him, he had the vision of himself telling Luke there's another Skywalker. So he knew, he had that inkling already. And so that explains a lot of the reason of why he did what he did in episode 3. So getting to that point, yeah, I blame him and I blame a lot of the Jedi Council and the Jedi Order, which we will get into. God, do I have a lot of things to say about the Jedi Order. But I can't fully blame Padme and Yoda for being manipulated by Palpatine. When Palpatine, as evil as he was, his scheme and his plan was just like masterful.
Yep.
Everything became unstoppable and rolled downhill the moment he came to power.
Yeah.
Yep.
The moment he got exactly what he wanted, there was no turning back. As soon as he became chancellor, that was it. That's all she wrote.
But to piggyback on Chuck's point, right? We might as well segue into the Jedi Order as a whole with it, because we're gonna keep coming back to the Jedi Order. I think it's episode 2 when is the first time you see the entire council. Yes, because it's right after the bombing of Padme's ship.
Right.
You see the majority of the council in Palpatine's chambers. Literal feet from the Sith Lord. You mean to tell me that even though he had all his power and everything like that, that those, 10 motherfuckers couldn't all whip out some sabers and kill him? Come on!
I know.
Well, Palpatine had an uncanny power of hiding his power. Nobody knew. Nobody could tell who he was.
No one knew.
Yeah, no one knew.
No. I get. Trust me, I get that. But this is more for argument's sake, right? Like, if you have that many light side of the Force users, right? And if it was 1-on-1, you can kind of have that argument a little bit better with me, right? For how he hid his connection to the Force, everything of that nature. But when you have literally probably 2/3, if not more, of the Jedi Council in one room with one Sith Lord, you can't tell me that there's something off. Like all of you bastards who all meditate together and
They didn't pick up on it. Yeah.
Like you mean to tell me that none of you
I
felt
think
it?
I think Yoda had an inkling. He just wasn't 100% sure. You see Yoda in that exact scene, he looks at Palpatine a certain way. I feel like Yoda had an inkling, but
he sensed it, but he didn't want to be too rash with the decision.
Because with Yoda, he knows that Force visions and Force predictions, prophecies, are not always what they seem. So even though he has all this, he has a feeling, he's one that has to meditate further on something and has to be sure, and he's
got to walk that rope so thin and so tight. He's got to walk it carefully, otherwise if he walks it, if the wrong side happens, then the whole entire Jedi Order just looks bad. Because
look what happened when you get one person, one Jedi, powerful Jedi, albeit, not see their prophecy correctly. And we're talking about Anakin. He saw his Force visions. He thought it was going to end up one way. And because of that, he ended up doing what he wasn't, the one thing he couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And that's the fine line that Yoda always tried to, or had to walk. But I get what you're saying, Ritz, though. Ultimately, like, the Jedi Order, I have a lot of issues with them. Not only during Clone Wars, but as like a whole. Even going back to, I'm talking about, like, I'm reading now the High Republic novels, and that was like a better time for the Republic. I don't know if anyone has started reading them. If you haven't, I highly suggest you read them. But even the Jedi Order back then, there was a lot of ignorance with the Jedi Order, and it's a long thing. Ritz, are you sure you want me to start getting into it?
I'll pull you back when I need you.
Okay, so here's the thing with the Jedi Order, okay? Like, and if you are also like me, then you'll understand what I'm referring this to. I've always looked at the Jedi Order as similar to today's Catholic Church. I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic, very, very hardcore Catholic. My parents are very religious, and I'm still very religious. I still identify as Catholic. But the thing with the Jedi Order, they've always been so conservative and so one-minded, one way toward one side of the Force. And another argument I'll make later on, because I don't want to make this too long, but they are so blind to the fact that the Force is about balance. It's not about just one side. It's not about just the light side. It's the Jedi Order always thinks they're so, like, they disconnect themselves from the dark side to where they prevent everything that is even remotely close to it, that they blind themselves to things that could open their eyes. And I think that's a big reason why they couldn't see what Palpatine was doing, is because they're so closed off to that side of the Force. They talk about the light side. Let's do one element of it, right? So all the Jedi, they can't fall in love, they can't marry, blah 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 blah. You are telling your people, your warriors, your soldiers, that they have to be selfless. They have to be all for everyone else, and they have to love everyone else. But when it comes to acknowledging their emotions, their feelings, their like how they fall in love with people, you're supposed to ignore that, and you're supposed to just shun that away. Like, even Obi-Wan was in love at one point,
right? With
Satine. But I have an issue with the fact that, okay, see, if you choose not to go down that path, that's perfectly fine. But completely shunning it is too much. That's too much. And
all right, so let's stop there, right? Let's stop there. And we talk about, cutting ourselves off from one side of the Force, or, not having these emotions and these other things, right? The argument, so my answer is two-pronged. The argument to that is, look what happened to Anakin, right? Anakin had all this power in his Jedi training, right? And knowing that the people that he loved were in danger, he ultimately fell to the dark side because those emotions, those raw, insane emotions, got the better of him. And you're right, there is balance, but at what point are you able to find your own inner balance? Because I can tell you right now, I know the three of you very, very, not very well, but well enough. None of you bastards are balanced, right? I'm the furthest thing from balanced. Ask Andrew. He's in the chat. I'm nowhere near balanced. Okay? But
shit, ain't that the truth?
Right? Exactly. So you're never going to have true balance. And Obi-Wan says it best, right? Had Satine given the word, he would have left the Jedi Order. I think if it's a strong enough emotion, like Anakin found Padme, gotten love, married her, should have booked it. Said, I'm out. Right? I think that's the point, though, is if you can't control your emotions, and it's controlled, right? And nobody truly can control all of them. I think that you shouldn't be in the order.
I feel like if Anakin had booked it, because like you said, married Padme, booked it, I honestly think that would have been a critical piece in Palpatine's role that would have fell. And there goes that balance,
right,
of Palpatine winning.
Well, but then at that point, though, all right, so let's go to a bigger balance, light side, dark side. At that point, right, it's still pretty evenly matched, in my opinion, right? The tide doesn't change until Anakin becomes Palpatine's essentially personal guard after Grievous attacks Coruscant.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's prevented, then I don't think anything ever changes. Right? Palpatine's plan never goes into effect. And if it does, it takes much longer. And he's more prone to slip up. Because ever since, and you go back and you watch it again with hindsight. We always talk about armchair quarterbacking and everything of that nature. When you watch him in episode 1, look at Anakin and go, I expect big things from you. That son of a bitch knows.
Oh, he knew. He knew. You knew for a fact he knew.
Right? So his entire plan is based around some 10-year-old twerp off of a sand planet. You take that element out, the rise of the Empire never happens when it does. If at all, because there is no one like Anakin. It's always been talked about, it's always been said. Anakin's power, Anakin's raw power is through the moon.
Who's to say if Maul would have accidentally killed Anakin as they were leaving the planet? When Qui-Gon tells Anakin to drop. Who's to say what happens at that point? Maul comes in, gets rid of the kid just to go after the Jedi.
Well, but see, the problem with that, though...
But I highly doubt Maul knew who the kid was.
No, I agree. And I don't necessarily say it as a problem, right? The thing there is, let's say Anakin does die in episode 1. Let's say he doesn't fuck Maul killing him. Let's say he doesn't make it out of the hangar, right? Of the Trade Federation ship where the whole thing goes to hell and high water.
Yep.
Then Palpatine has no power, right? The vote hasn't been passed yet because of everything going on.
So what I'll say to back to you saying, like, if look what happened to Anakin. There are other Jedi that have fallen in love and been okay. There are other Jedi also who have lost and been okay. And it goes to one, like, yeah, he should have booked it, but at the same time, why should he have to book it? if you as a Jedi Order are really about everything you preach, then you have to not shun things, but welcome them and teach what you said control. A lot of things control. The Anakin, and keep in mind also, when it comes to Anakin's struggle, it's not just about Padme. It was about his mom.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole.
He had to separate himself from his mom,
Mhm.
and him losing his mom the way he did fueled his fear for losing Padme, and so he potentially lost two people, the two people that he cared about most in the world. He lost them. But if the Jedi Order wasn't the way they were, they could have been more supportive. There were avenues that could have been had, and it's just separating from just that, because that's just one aspect. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's like saying if Mace wasn't such a dick to Anakin,
But
it could have been.
I think Mace should have trained the little fucker.
Yeah.
Because you want to
There's
talk
that-
about control and keeping themselves away from the dark side.
Mhm.
Everything we have on Windu says that's what he specialized in.
So look at this scene. I rewatched it again. This is like probably the fifth scene I rewatched, right? And every time I watch it, I get more and more disgusted with the Jedi Order. It's a scene where Ahsoka chooses not to go back after she's accused of treason.
Yeah.
You see, oh my God, like the Jedi Council, who had already been ready to shun Ahsoka as guilty, right? And then Anakin, thank God for Anakin, finds Barriss Offee as the guilty party.
Great
Barriss,
scene.
her
Great
whole-
scene, by the
Yeah,
way.
great scene. Great scene. And then Barriss, who, by the way, was right the whole time, but she just went about it in a horrible way, in the wrong way. But she was right. Everything she said about the Jedi Order being puppets for the dark side and being corrupted was 100% correct. But in the chambers for the Jedi Council, they're apologizing to Ahsoka. And then Mace Windu has the friggin' nerve to say, this turned out to be your great trial. And to spin it as if, hey, we were about to give up on you, but hey, everything's okay because this was supposed to happen through the Force. That is such a backhanded apology as if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
And
It's like saying, "Hey, we're sorry, we fucked up. Here, you can be a Jedi Knight now."
But
so
okay,
bad.
let's back up though, and I like that comment though from Mace, right? Because when you alluded to it earlier, right? You alluded it to the Catholic Church because you're a Catholic, but I'll allude it to any religious entity, right? Because it worked. Because I'm a Jew, right? And it works. Trust me, it works for us too, right? If it's the will of the Force, right, for this to happen, good, bad, or indifferent, the Force will allow it to happen. So if you are supposed to go through this trial and it make you question things, and look at Foresight, right? She walks away, right? She has lost faith in the council and she walks away.
I would have too, by the way.
So would I have. I'd have told them all to stick their lightsabers where the sun don't shine.
Yep.
But to walk
Stick it and
away,
vibrate.
and what transpires in season 7 with Ahsoka, and then what you see in The Mandalorian, that little bit for her in The Mandalorian, that was the trial. That was to put her on the path to where she would still feel, and whatever happens beyond for her, because you know, think if they can write her own fucking story at that point, right? That fuels that, and that helps set things in motion. Here's another perfect example. Ahsoka in season 7 saves Rex. And Rex later, as it was retconned, is at the Battle of Endor.
Yep. So to your point there, the fact that Ahsoka's path becomes eventually does become in a way where it works out for the best. That's my whole point of the Jedi Order trying to control so much that they shouldn't be, instead of just letting the Force guide people guide their Jedi the way the whatever path they're on. That's the problem. And to your point about Mace, you said you're glad that Mace said that. Mace or anyone on that council should not be the ones saying that to Ahsoka. That's something Ahsoka has to find out herself. Yep. Ahsoka has to realize that herself. None of them have the right to say anything like that to her, except they should just be apologizing and finding ways to make better the situation. There's no way they should be saying that to Ahsoka. There's no way.
I disagree. I disagree there, right? Ahsoka is still a youngling, right? Mm-hmm. At the time of her trial, right? She's still an inexperienced Padawan, everything like that. You know, they make the reference how she is very young to be a Padawan learner, right? And to be out in the field and everything of that nature. And the entire series, you watch her go through these struggles of, I'm not sure. Am I sure? I'm not sure. There's so much conflict within her. And it's talked about in the Mortis arc where her future self comes to her and says, and that's where the seed's planted, in my opinion, right? I think when they wrote Mortis, they knew Ahsoka was leaving. The plan was always for Ahsoka to leave soon, right? They plant that with the future Ahsoka saying, you need to separate yourself from your master, right? In order for you to realize your full true potential.
Yes.
Right? So I think Mace, and I'm a Mace fan, mostly because Samuel L. Jackson, but I'm a Mace fan, right? And for Mace to say, that was your trial, or however the line goes, right? I think that was his subtle way of saying, I know that you're going to do something better than whatever we can do for you. Because when it comes to, like, I won't say the realest Jedi, because I don't think he's 100% the realest Jedi in the term. But I always thought that Mace Windu had a really decent grip of, look, like, for example, Palpatine, he's too powerful to be left alive. Fuck this guy. We're not going to do the trial. Fuck it, we're going to kill him.
Yep.
You know, or when you watch his tactics through certain battles, like the siege on Ryloth, and Anaxis and everything like that, you know, he's straight up like, look, we're going to do it this way, right? I get it. Your senator sucks. I get it. You want to do this. I really don't give a shit. My job here is to go stop those people and give you your city back. Yep. How we get there, I don't care, right? So I think he had the most foresight to say, hey, you know what, Ahsoka, I see a lot in Ahsoka, but she's never going to understand any of that here. Mm-hmm. Because even Yoda just kind of sits there and watches, right? And Plo Koon, who rescued Ahsoka, you know, that's his little Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
He even just kind of goes, you know, sucks, but bye.
Here's where I will.
Damn it, Plo.
I get what you're saying, and we can agree to disagree. But if anyone's going to point that out to Ahsoka, it has to be Anakin, because Anakin's the one that Anakin is her master. Yeah. Anakin's the one that didn't give up on her. It's more about the decency and the right of being a decent human being, and not being so arrogant to think that no matter what your position is, like, you can make a mistake, and you have to have the empathy and the self-awareness to not say certain things. And that's where the council comes off as arrogant. And to the point of, you know, Ahsoka going out on her own way. If you read the High Republic novels, they have a position in the Jedi Order, which is what my tag is, the Jedi Wayseeker. And I wish that had been implemented more throughout the other stuff, and I hope they continue somehow. But a Jedi Wayseeker, as they explain in the novels, is a Jedi who finds their own path outside of the Order. They're still part of the Order, but they get permission from the Council because they've meditated and hear from the Force that they have to find their own way. So Ahsoka is pretty much the modern version of a Jedi Wayseeker. And that to me is essentially what I feel should be more supported is, hey, it's not all about you can't do this, you can't do this, you shouldn't do, like, it's about what is the Force telling you, because the Force works in mysterious ways in Star Wars. There's different, we saw Ahsoka's, and it's essentially that. I feel like Jedi could reach so much more greatness if they listened to the Force and found their own way, and found that the Force is about balance, not just light side, but knowing how to control both aspects. That's what makes you a better Force user, a better Jedi. And that's why Ahsoka is so great, because she found her own path.
Right, and I get that. And trust me, right? And then I don't think on this one, to your point, I don't think we're ever going to be swayed one way or the other, right? And that's why we do the things that we do here.
You're trying, you want them to sit in the middle. You want them to sit in the gray side.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a whole different conversation, because then you get into the gray Jedis, and I'm not prepared for that tonight.
I'm just saying, you want balance. Balance is about, more towards gray. Light side, dark side, they kind of do. Mace was, Mace could have been, closer to gray, even though he was a master.
Yeah, he could have.
Very truly. The one thing I want to touch on before we go to our next topic about that, Chux, that you said. You said that Anakin should have been the one to tell her. I think if it happens at any other point in the Clone Wars, in his time with her, I think he could. But I think at that point in everything, he is so jacked up in the head.
I completely agree.
That he doesn't have the clarity to say, you know what, that was your trial. The only thing he sees is it's an injustice, because he's in the boat of the Jedi Council is holding me back. Right?
All his emotions are running through all at once.
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
I'll give you, yes, it should have been Anakin, but I don't think Anakin's in the right spot to say
100% agree.
Yes or no.
100%.
Okay. So we talked about that aspect of the Jedi Order, right? My biggest issue, I think, that I have with the Jedi Order is the fact that we get the Clone Wars, okay? And what happens? Our peacekeepers are turned into generals in the Grand Army of the Republic. They allow themselves to stop keeping the peace. And I think, piggybacking a little bit, that's where some of the arrogance comes into play. Right?
Yes.
But they stop keeping the peace, and now they are in charge of armies and battalions and clone troopers and different things of that nature. So that was always a big issue for me. It's like, you guys are...
See, that's kind of what Palpatine wanted. He wanted them separated thin. Because together as a whole, they could fend off, fight back. As you've seen in episode 2. Together as a whole, they can fight off an army. But when you spread them thin throughout the entire galaxy, we're not talking spread them thin through a planet. We're talking you spread them thin throughout an entire galaxy. You've got one or two here.
No, and I completely
They're getting
agree.
taken down easy.
Yeah, and you saw that in episode 3. You saw exactly how that happened in episode 3.
And I get that, but it's not so much a Palpatine thing. It's more an order thing. Why did you allow it to happen? Why did you allow yourselves? Because you never did it before.
Yep.
You were never generals. You don't have Obi-Wan Kenobi walking out with friggin' armor plating up his Jedi robe or anything of that nature until you allow this thing to take place.
Here, I got something for you, speaking on that.
Okay.
I seen this the other day on Reddit. But I'll read it word for word. I can't remember where I found it, but it says the Jedi are antagonized far too much for their actions. They were flawed, but ultimately tried their best to defend and protect as much people as they could under the circumstances. If the Jedi had not taken part in the war, they'd be criticized just as much. Were the Jedi supposed to let them take over and let hundreds of worlds be subjugated by the Sith, what exactly were they supposed to do during the Clone Wars? You could make the argument that they should have not aligned themselves with the Republic as they did and just focus on humanitarian efforts, but how would they fight the immensely numbered droid army? They've been wiped out a lot faster without men or resources. It seems like no matter what the Jedi do, they're made out to be bad guys. I doubt they'll try their best under horrible circumstances warranted their extermination like so many people claim.
No, and so I get all that, right? They were doomed from the start.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the start of the Clone Wars because Palpatine's in power. They were doomed from the start of how they were organized, right? Because I do think, right, Chux, you think they should be allowed to explore whatever. I still think there has to be some kind of order with it. Because you don't just want some force wielder walking around with a lightsaber. Oh, you pissed me off. Right? You don't need that.
Well, that goes beyond like morals. I mean, like obviously what it do.
Well, that's what the Sith are for. That's where the Sith come in.
But that's my point.
You got some asshole with a lightsaber going around. You know what? I don't like you. Zap.
or just snap. Right?
You know, what you explain. That's Sith, full true and true. I don't like you. Z. Done.
But they were doomed.
Or Vader. Choke me harder. Hey.
Choke me.
Christ.
Okay, that happened. Not surprised. but
Stupid shit.
That in of itself, where they're doomed from the beginning, right? It almost makes you feel bad for them in a sense, because no matter what they did, they were doomed, and it's a testament to the Clone Wars as well. Yeah. No matter what either side did, they were just playing a chess game.
Yeah.
They were Palpatine's chess game.
And Palpatine was 5 moves ahead of him. He was 5 moves ahead of everybody.
It didn't matter if the Separatist won. It didn't matter if it was the Separatist won or the Jedi won. Yep. Whichever one won, Palpatine won. He was getting rid of both of them in the end anyways. He just needed one side to go.
I think it's not about the ultimate the end game of what went down. I think for me, my criticisms are how it went down. The path to get to that point. There are certain things that could have improved different areas and prevented so much loss or so much devastation. You know what I mean? But like, I think they were screwed to be no matter what. But I think there are certain things they could have done better.
I think if Valorum had taken action, stopped the Trade Federation from what he was doing, he never would have lost power, and Palpatine would have had to try something totally different. And who's to say it would have worked? Well, at this point, you wouldn't really have your clone army because it's no longer funded by the Republic.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have, a clone war, so to speak. Valorum would just be sitting there high and mighty, go, you know what? I stopped this.
Yeah.
You know what? Just be done. Just get rid of it. Be done with. And everybody goes back to doing their thing. Anakin's never found. Padme goes on to Naboo to just rule Naboo, and Palpatine's just sitting there high and mighty, going, "Fuck, what do I do now?"
Well, he's not sitting high and mighty. He's fucking useless at that point.
Yeah, at that point.
But,
exactly. Yeah.
At this point, does Sidious reveal himself saying, "Hey, me and Maul are fixing to try to take you on," or does he just kind of sit back and go, "All right, Plan A's fuck, let's go to Plan B."
But also think about this, and I was watching all the live action Star Wars lightsaber duels, and we're gonna transition into some different duel breakdowns here because that's what I'm excited for. Do you notice in just about every single live action lightsaber duel, the Sith never attack first?
Yeah. Yep.
It's all, with the exception of Anakin and Obi-Wan in 3. The Sith never hit the first strike.
Where would you? How about the final battle between Obi-Wan and Maul? That could be another one you could say is the exception.
Yes, but in that one I was only watching live actions.
Oh yeah, you're right. You did say that. My fault.
Right, and only live actions because the animated series was a little bit different. But let's get into some of the more pivotal fights, right? And specifically lightsaber fights. Chux, you brought it up.
Go
ahead, Butters. What?
you know, you want to talk lightsaber battles, I can tell you right now, and you know, I said this in the chat at one point, you know, I really do think Obi-Wan, no matter where he was at, what he was doing, would have won that fight over Anakin. High ground, low ground, mid ground, don't care. Anakin was too unfocused. All his emotions were too, you know, here, hit and miss everywhere for him to be focused enough to fight a lightsaber battle.
Anakin's fight in that, while it is one of my favorite live action fights, is very reminiscent of Vader and Luke in 6.
5. Yes, yeah.
No, their battle in the Emperor's Chamber in 6. Not necessarily 5, right?
Which part? Oh, when Luke, talking about when Luke went berserk?
Yeah, when Luke goes berserk.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's very reminiscent. Now, granted, it worked for Luke, right? He was able to overpower the old man, you know, who's already been weakened and exhausted and all that.
But I think at that point, Luke kind of reined in his emotions then. You know, yes, they let him go out of control and then he reined him in. Whereas Anakin just couldn't rein his emotions in.
Luke was the true chosen one.
Well, yes, but still.
Right. Fuck off.
Everybody could say in the Disney area, Rey was the chosen one, but we're not going to say that.
We're not. No. I'm going to bury that entire saga in a little bit. I've got my shovel being polished. We're going to bury it in a few minutes. Okay. Notice how I've stayed away from the clusterfuck that is the Disney era. Mostly because I think the mouse would come and kill me. But look at some of the more pivotal fights. And Chux brought it up. Obi-Wan and Darth Maul in Rebels. Such a hyped up, highly anticipated fight when you really think about it. It's 1999 is when you first get introduced to these two characters. As a little battle, all the way to what? That episode was in like 2019 or something like that. Right? 20 years of a build-up, and the fight literally lasted 3 moves. But look at the story that it told. Watch that back, and Maul goes for the same move that he used to kill Qui-Gon. And Obi's like, nope. Boom. And kills him.
Obi changed his form when seeing Maul and what he was going to do. He altered it and said, nope, as you said, you're going to do that. I'm changing my style to this.
And it's such a subtle move because if you watch, right, he's always up here like this, but then when he sees what Maul does, he comes down here. And this would ultimately be the form that he carries with him in the 4 into New Hope.
As Vic say, he changed his style. He went through 3 different styles in that entire scene.
Yeah,
he went through the arms wide open, the arms up, you know, or the arm up, and then the arms closed, so he could protect himself.
He was always form 3.
Yes.
You know, I think it's form 3 for his blasters. Yeah. But he changed it.
He did. And then you look at why is that so important? Well, because go back to his battle with Qui-Gon in episode 1. And why does that battle hold such a high standard in this list of lightsaber battles? Well, because Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are not on the same page. That's why Darth Maul's able to... It's not that Darth Maul's a better swordsman. It's not that he had, that he's more powerful. It's you have a master and a Padawan not on the same page because Qui-Gon wants to be defiant of the Jedi Order, and Obi-Wan, the young Jedi Padawan, says, no, we cannot go against the system. So Darth Maul is able to use that, separate them, get the upper hand. That's how he kills Qui-Gon. But he doesn't take into account that Obi-Wan, watching his master die in front of him, makes him come to terms internally with the fact of, that was my master, regardless of what we think. That's who got me here. I need to defeat this Sith Lord and protect the galaxy that my master fought so hard to protect as well.
Mm.
Right?
Yep.
And then probably the best animated fight scene on the planet. I want somebody to tell me I'm wrong because I will beat you with a brick. Ahsoka versus Darth Maul.
Yes.
And I think that's elevated because they do stop motion.
Mm-hmm.
They have Ray Park, who was Darth Maul in episode 1. He comes in with another stunt woman. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. But they stop motion that entire fight. And it's so pivotal because Maul knows, right? Maul knows his master. He knows his master's plan, right? Darth Maul could have toppled an entire empire if somebody would have just shut up and listened to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
If Obi-Wan would have listened to Dooku, this would have been over, right? If everybody would have just shut up and listened to the bad guy talking,
yeah,
you would have put the pieces together. But watching Ahsoka, she's not fighting at this point. She's not fighting for the Republic.
Mm-hmm.
She's not fighting for Mandalore. She's not fighting for Rex in the 323rd.
Yeah.
She's fighting for Anakin. And you brought it up earlier, Chux, how Anakin lost Padme, lost his mom and was going to lose Padme. He also lost Ahsoka.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
He's losing all the women in his life.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's all he's been close to is women. You know,
women. Yeah.
It's just been his mom.
Yeah,
and he's losing all of them.
That's what he was closest to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the Jedi Order, not necessarily Obi-Wan, right? Obi-Wan and him were kind of on the outs, but Ahsoka always had his back, no matter what. And Ahsoka was going to protect him. Here is this guy here's Maul saying, your master is going to destroy everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to go to war now. So, I think those are some of the more pivotal lightsaber battles in the realm of Star Wars. You know, Anthony here says Savage, Maul, and Sidious was a great fight. And I think, Chux, you might have alluded to that in our pre-show chat.
That's, I think, that's right behind the Ahsoka and Maul battle. I think when you see that, when I first watched it, I'm like, holy crap, Sidious is laying it out. And it shows because Savage and Maul, remember, they were like, Savage was a beast of a being. Like, he was a hulking being and very physically overpowering, right? And Maul
was with a lightsaber.
Yeah. But Sidious, like, disposed of them like they were nothing. And you kind of like, you kind of see like he is so on another level than Maul, especially Savage, especially Oppressed.
We keep saying Savage, it's Savage.
Savage, yeah.
Savage.
Oppressed.
Get it right, damn it.
I think Savage because it's to me.
Well, no, we both did it, right?
Yeah. Savage, Oppressed, but like.
Say it with style, Savage.
Savage, Oppressed. But it's just it's like an eye opener because the choreography and the animation was top notch, but you get an appreciation for the skill level that Palpatine has, and he just shows up. He hears that Maul's alive and everything like that. He has an apprentice, and he's like, "All right, I'm ending this."
And it's not even, hey, Maul's alive, right? Because when Maul first shows up, he's like, whatever, fuck it, right? It's not until Maul takes over Mandalore.
Yeah.
That is like, nope, you know what? Fuck this guy.
It's just so crazy. Like, then you get to see, like, Palpatine really is a master. And I think at that time, the only one, and I said earlier, the only one that could have defeated Palpatine was Yoda. Yep. But Yoda knew that it wasn't about killing Palpatine. It was about the longer game. So it's just crazy. That
all about the long con.
Yep.
100%. So let's talk about I won't say unsung heroes of the Clone Wars era, right? But you look at somebody like Captain Rex, right? Captain Rex shows it is CT75, what is it, 96 or something like that, right? He's just a basic clone trooper that we meet in the Clone Wars animated movie in 2008. And here we are 13 years later talking about how he became one of the more influential roles in the Clone Wars, in the Rebellion, and who knows of the beyond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a favorite clone? What are your thoughts on Rex? Because we find out, while yes, they're all clones and everything like that, they all have their own uniqueness about them.
Their own individualities.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're not like, and again, I'm a nerd. They're not like the Borg.
Yeah.
Right? They're more
They're not
individualized.
like your typical clones that are all just we're the same. Get over it.
Exactly.
If you're talking about because if I'm gonna point out a favorite clone, it'd be Captain Rex. But I think another clone that was pivotal was Fives. Okay, so Fives.
That's a good one.
So if it weren't for him realizing, you can mention them, Butters, but if
greatest clone of all time, right there, 99. Can't tell me otherwise.
But Fives discovering the chip and trying so hard to tell it to Rex or to anyone, but ultimately to Rex, that was a key moment for the characters like Rex and Ahsoka and people, because without Fives realizing something was going wrong,
And again, it was another instance of Yoda knew what the hell was going on.
Yep.
He just didn't do nothing about it because, like you said, the long game.
Yep.
It's like, they got the chips. We're screwed. Let's sit it out and hope it goes well.
So I'll give you Fives, right? And throughout the entire thing, I love Fives, and you got some standouts like Waxer and Boyle, from Cody's company, and Cody in of himself, right? Heavy, Echo. We're getting introduced to the Bad Batch. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on, and some of the revelations that have come out through that show that have made me go, wait, what? But who I like in Clone Wars, but then I can't stand him in his appearance in Rebels, is Commander Wolf.
Well, that's a good one.
I figured you were going to go there with that one.
I love Wolves, because when the Wolf Pack showed up, you knew shit. To me, the Wolf Pack was the elite clone unit, right? You have the Bad Batch, you've got the clone commandos, whatever. But if you had to call in the Wolf Pack for something, some shit was going down. And they weren't going to, because that meant Plo was coming too. And then Plo was another one to where, while he's very stoic and very reserved and very, Vulcan-like in his mannerisms, if he had to get involved in something, and you see it when they're trying to find Commander Pons and all them after Boba wrecks the Venator class ship.
Yes.
Anakin and Mace are trapped on that planet with Mura Singh and all that. You see how he just hits the table, boom, blocks all the stuff and everything of that nature, and he doesn't care. He doesn't flinch at all. So Fox was, one of those. Wolf was one of those people. I think one of the blindest ones was Commander Fox. He's ultimately the one that shoots Fives.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. You had some that were just so blind to everything that was going on around them, and the clones of themselves tell such a great story. That's why I like the Clone Wars for that, because they take these characters that ultimately would have never gotten any kind of recognition, and they turn them into true.
Even Tup, even Tup could be said as one of those.
Fuck Tup.
Hey! If it wasn't for Tup, they wouldn't have found the chips.
True, but fuck Tup.
We wouldn't have known about the chips because, why the fuck did Tup just kill a Jedi for no fucking reason? Like, hey, but again, Tup would have been a good one, but, like you said.
I will leave this up to you, all of you. Do we want to go into a movie breakdown where we kind of talk about the different movies and things we would have changed? Because that's ultimately timeline, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or do we want to keep listing off some of our favorites, or, we like this over another thing, Empire versus Republic sort of style?
Okay. Well, I like the timeline thing, but I wanted to hit on one more thing before we get into that, if you don't mind. Because it kind of relates to my point earlier, but this is more, to me, this one is more important. This was Ritz. This is what I was telling my thesis.
Oh, fuck. Here we go.
So you guys think I have a whole thing about the Jedi Order. To me, if I look at the Force alone, man, I could write a whole college thesis on this, because and you talked about it pre-show, right? In our pre-show chat. The whole in Clone Wars, the 3 episodes.
Oh, the Mortis gods. Yep.
That was the first, or one of the most crucial moments in the whole lore that solidified my opinion of the Force. To me, the Force is not about light and dark. It's about balance.
Right.
It's about both. You don't like quotes from the Mortis episode. You talk about the father talking to Anakin, right? Mm-hmm. And the father says to him, "Too much dark or light would be the undoing of life as you understood it." The son, who is the dark side, is trying to tempt Anakin, and he's saying, "How simple you make it, light and dark, as if there is one without the other." The Force isn't about just the light side, and it isn't just about the dark side. Both the Jedi Order and the Sith have it wrong. It's to understand the Force itself is to understand everything, the light and the dark, because it's about balance. It's about, hey, like, you need to be able to know why this happens, because without this, you also don't have this. Yep. You really don't. And I know you didn't want to get into Great Jedi, but like, to me, the Great Jedi are just what the High Republic novels are talking about now, and they're way seekers. Way seekers are essentially Great Jedi. And
it's not that I didn't want to get into the Great Jedi. I just didn't have it. I wasn't prepared for Great Jedi.
Oh, okay.
We'll go there if you want to go there. So, like, I don't shy away.
So like with the Great Jedi, like, I know it's not canon and thing, but the whole philosophy about Great Jedi and what they stand for, to me, is the truth behind the Force. And if you look up the Great Jedi Code, it says there is no dark side there nor light. There is only the Force. I will do what I must to keep the balance. There's no good without evil, but evil must not be allowed to flourish. That part is so important. There is no good without evil, but evil must not be allowed to flourish. Mm-hmm. There is passion, yet peace. There is serenity, yet emotion. There is chaos, yet order. There's both.
Did you please tell me you had that looked up? And you didn't
I did.
Okay. Yeah, knowing you, that'd be something you have on the top of your dome. I'm just saying.
I really should memorize it, yeah. But like that is the Force. To me, that's the truth about the Force. And you can't the prophecy. Here's the because I don't want to make it too long-winded, but here's the thing. The prophecy about the one, about Anakin and about Darth Vader ultimately. Yeah. What was the prophecy saying the whole time? The one who will bring balance to the Force. Mm-hmm. Anakin did that, just not in the way that everyone thought it would. Mm-hmm. He made it so that the dark side and lights, the Jedi and the Sith, no longer existed.
Yeah,
because they're not the Jedi and the Sith went about it the wrong way. It's not about practicing one or the other. Mm-hmm. It's about how are you going to understand and comprehend the Force as a whole, and then use that for good, because that's and ultimately, again, without being repetitive, that's what the Force is. Whether you want to use it for good and the light, or use it for the dark, is your prerogative. but the Force isn't just about one or the other. If you're talking about fully understanding, and we talked about, you guys threw it in there. Mace, the closest thing to a great Jedi besides Ahsoka could be Mace Windu.
Or
And what did
Qui-Gon.
Mace Windu, Qui-Gon too.
Qui-Gon's one.
Absolutely.
Qui-Gon's probably the closest one to being a great Jedi.
Yes, yeah.
But Qui-Gon got 2.5 hours of my time.
I know, yeah.
He's got the better part of 10 years.
But
Would you say Ahsoka?
what did it tell about Mace? What makes him such a lethal fighter is because he delved so close into dark side combat. He knew about dark side combat and used it. But the thing is, he had the control to not fall into the dark side and not use it for evil. Yep. That's the whole thing. Being able to control yourself and your emotions and your will, so that if you delve into some aspects of the dark side, like lightning, force lightning or choke, are you going to use it in a way where you're not falling into that down that path? It's all about control, knowing what your ability is, and not swaying too much to one side. So, to me, that's my favorite part of the whole Star Wars lore, is just the Force in general. But people don't often see it in the big picture as it should be seen, in my opinion.
And I get where you're coming from with that. And to piggyback off of that, I had pulled up here the different Jedi lightsaber styles, right? And Mace is the most controversial of them all.
Yeah, combat number 7.
Yeah. It controls his inner darkness and channel it into worthier goals. Windu himself was weary the teaching of others this style, lest they fail to master it as he has done. Thus, they could succumb to their emotions rather than control them. And I think that's why I go back to, right? We talk about how the Jedi Order sucked in so many terms, right? I think that Mace being able to turn around and control himself the way that he did, and knowing the struggle that it takes, try to take others and say, look, you can't do that, right? Because Mace never takes on a Padawan, with the exception of, oh my God, I'm going to butcher her name, Kanan's master.
What is her name?
Something Belpo or Balpo or whatever. I know who I'm talking about, though.
Depa
Balaba.
Thank you. So, other than Depa, right? That's his Padawan, right? But even he doesn't teach her that style.
Yeah,
she knows a little bit about it, right? She knows of it. She knows its existence, but she doesn't teach it, right? Had she have done that, she would have taught it to Kanan, who would have been able to teach it to Ezra. And we would have never gotten the Ezra Maul bit. Right? Which we're going to talk about. We'll talk about how Maul and Ezra, and where is Ezra, how all that stuff plays into the grander picture as we dive a little bit more into our conversation. But I completely agree with the whole balance between light and darkness. And you look at the Mortis arc, and I just watched it about 2 hours ago, right? And you sit back and you watch it and you go, if Obi-Wan was paying attention and really listening to what's happening in this dimension, fucking kill Anakin.
Well, and that's my issue right there with their duel at the very end. You leave him to die, so to speak. With his limbs cut off. Why not just shove his ass into the lava to make sure he's fully dead, so that this doesn't come to bite you back in the ass?
So, and I'll have to go back through my YouTube history, but I found a video where a guy talks about if Obi-Wan would have just killed Anakin on Mustafar.
Yeah.
And I've never read the book, but he talks about the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Obi-Wan senses Palpatine coming. So he knows that Padme is still on the platform, right? So rather than double tap Anakin, right? He knows he has to get Padme out. He has to get the children away from the Emperor and himself away from the area, right? Because if you listen to this guy talk in his video where he says, you know, Obi-Wan had to like hide and do these other little things and then had an interaction with Palpatine and then they track him and all this other bullshit, right? So much more of a clusterfuck happens if Obi-Wan just sits there and double taps him. Now, could he have just gone whoosh and pushed him a little bit more in the lava? Yeah, but as a Jedi, that's cruel.
Yeah, it's not the Jedi way.
But I mean, it may not be, but Yoda pretty much sent him to do that job.
Yoda sent him there to kill him, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, if I'm watching somebody burned by lava, fuck you, you're dead. Right? I'm gonna walk off. I'm gonna go get a pizza. You know?
yeah.
I mean, you had pizza right there. I mean, never mind.
Shut
I
up.
didn't say that.
No, you had a s'more right down there.
And he did, and you know, he did say, Obi-Wan did say, was episode 6? Was it 6? Where he told Luke, like, he's more machine now than man. Like, even though he did survive, it's not, to him, it's not Anakin anymore. So, like, I'm not saying it that justifies it. I'm just saying, like,
no, I get it though.
To kind of understand his logic, like, as far as Obi-Wan is concerned, he did kill Anakin, and that what came about was a totally different person. It was Darth Vader, it wasn't Anakin.
And if you really think about it, right, he completed his task, so he doesn't go into exile.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is he staying on Tatooine? Yes, but he has a mission on Tatooine.
Yeah,
his mission is to protect Luke.
Yep.
Watch over him. Whereas Yoda said, well, I couldn't get the job fucking done. Obviously for reasons, but he goes, I can't get the job done. And he cheeses it to Dagobah.
Yeah.
But there's a reason he cheeses it to Dagobah.
Yes.
And that's explored in the Clone Wars.
Yep. Yes.
Because Dagobah is strong with the Force.
Yes.
And that's where Qui-Gon can teach Yoda how to become this Force ghost that we see later on.
And, you know, and nobody, you know, Palpatine wouldn't have ever thought to go find somebody on Dagobah because it's a backwoods, dank-ass, redneck country-style planet that nobody's going to want to look at. Sure.
Yeah.
Right, but it ties so much into, like, finding your balance and completing your missions but still staying true to yourself, I think, is that balance. I think if Obi walks down that fire, 1, he runs the risk of killing himself.
Yep.
But 2, you give in to your dark side a little bit at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that fueled by your rage for the fact that here's your brother and he just betrayed you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, watch back the last probably 30 minutes of Revenge of the Sith. Right after the attack on the Jedi Temple, when Anakin goes to Padme and talks to her, and watch him sell all the lies that Palpatine has created.
Yep. Yeah.
Watch him sell, and then he gets to in the little trip it takes to get to Mustafar. His eyes are gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's Vader, and he walks in there and wrecks everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then when
he got Sith eyes.
Yeah. But then when Obi-Wan shows up to Padme and says, Padme, here's the problem. And Padme is so blind to see it, that forces Obi-Wan to fly to Mustafar with her because he knows, and he always knew it was Padme.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When he flies there, when Anakin sees Padme, his eyes are not yellow. It's not until he sees Obi-Wan when he taps back into that dark side.
I never noticed that.
Mm.
I didn't notice it either, but watch without sound, you notice a lot.
I have to go back and watch it now.
But that also goes to show all the little details that Lucas put into all the films,
Mhm.
and how much every little detail mattered. Like the fact that Obi-Wan wore the white robes,
Mhm.
but Anakin had the black leather,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? Yoda's garments underneath his robes
Mhm.
matches what you see him in on Dagobah.
Yeah.
Right? Obi-Wan picking up the lightsaber after he kills Anakin. Right. And those are just a small amount of foreshadowing, but also keeping the story connected and explaining without giving me dialogue.
Yep.
Right? So let's go through the different movies and let's really get into it. You know, we get episode 1 and fuck it, let's do it this way. You get episode 4. Truly the one that starts it all.
Right.
With A New Hope. Right? And you have this teenager, for lack of a better phrase, this young adult on this sand planet, and he finds these droids. But why does he find the droids? He finds them because of this big, incredible opening shot
Mhm.
of Leia's ship being under attack, and that moment with Vader, and like I guess really because everybody knows the stories, everybody knows how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at episode 4. What are some of your biggest takeaways? What are some of your biggest failures as a movie? And do you have a favorite moment that may not be a popular moment, right? Because we all know everybody loves the run at the end of the movie, right?
Mhm.
The attack on the Death Star, everything like that. What's something that you like from that movie that may not be a popular thing? Jake, you've been quiet. Give me something.
Yeah. You might have to come back to me on that one because I have to think. There's a lot of good like little moments, but oh wow, that's tough.
All right, so here you go. I'll give you a moment that I like
Okay.
that may or may not be one of the more high points of the movie, right? And it's kind of subtle to me. It's when Luke buys the droids.
Yes.
It's that entire sequence, right? Because at that point, you don't realize if you're watching it for the first time ever, you don't realize how crucial these two droids are. All you know is they have plans from Princess Leia, who is just gotten her team's ass kicked and got captured by this big scary guy in a robot suit.
Yeah.
But how important and how crucial those droids will become in the whole series, right? It's one of those kind of moments for me. Where I think it fails as a movie is, and this was more hindsight's always 2020 once I know more about it, how they depict the Death Star in that movie. They very easily could have just went, pop right here next to Yavin. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Right, and that ultimately doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The cockiness of the Empire got ahead of themselves. You know, and Tarkin's a dick.
I was going to say, yeah, Tarkin's cockiness and, you know, his little dickishness kind of...
Like, sir, we've detected a flaw in the Death Star. What? I'm not retreating in our greatest moment of victory? Fuck you.
Yeah.
At that point, knowing me, I'd be like, flaw? All right, get the fuck out of here. Let's do this. Bye. See you. Let's fix that flaw and then go back.
Where I think it succeeds as a movie is very, very simple. It laid the groundwork for a 40-year franchise, almost 50 years, of a legacy that no one could ever have seen before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
A pop culture
Not all
phenomenon.
movies get that, you know.
I mean, my God, I've got Lego Star Wars shit over here. And hold on, I'll tell you exactly. Hold on. We're going to be that nerdy. And in 74 days, I'm going to an entire section of a theme park dedicated to that fucking franchise.
And I'm right after you. My countdown is it's not in days, but it's for me. It is. I have it right here.
You're probably about 85 days.
2 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days.
Yeah, you're probably about 85 days away from me.
Yeah. Right. I get it. I think. All right. So you had some really good ones. Obviously, the impact of laying the groundwork. Pop culture. We've talked about it like so many times. So that's absolutely. I think my favorite. So start off. My favorite scenes from episode 4. I think it's just the Death Star battle. It's because because episode 4 didn't really dive into the Force and the Jedi, right? Like you knew a little bit about it, but that wasn't the focus.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about the Jedi as it was the rebellion and everything. When I saw episode 4, I fell in love with X-wings and dogfights.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love that. I think the X-wing is the most beautiful craft I've ever seen. Like,
I agree.
It's awesome. It's so awesome to see.
That's cool.
And
right there, folks.
That I could just watch.
Fuck building this thing, by the way.
I could just watch the Battle of Yavin over and over and over again because it's just so like, and plus like I love the I'm excited for Rogue Squadron for this reason, but we're introduced to Wedge Antilles, who's to me one of the most important and underrated secondary characters in all of sports in Star Wars lore. I love Wedge Antilles. He's underrated general and doesn't get talked about enough, but he's crucial to the rebellion. Absolutely crucial. So we get introduced to him, and like the whole thing, like that whole trench run was edge of your seat, like holy crap. You know what I mean? So that was my favorite part of Star Wars. I think the underrated part for episode 4 was and it might be common, but Obi-Wan sacrificing himself.
Okay.
And telling Darth Vader that if you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you could ever.
I see we're taking the easy way outs tonight.
I'm trying to think of some, but like it's important. Like it is true, and you don't understand it until you fully realize that.
I got you, Todd.
You fully realize what he can do as a Force ghost, and what he can do once Obi-Wan is part of the Force, and that way, and him guiding Luke in that aspect, as opposed to being still alive. So it's I'll those two are the ones I'll name.
All right, Butters, Jake.
Yeah, I think the big two for me, the one really isn't like a mini kind of one, but my first one for me is like that shot when you see the binary sunset. The ones it kind of foreshadows for me, at least how I perceived it was it foreshadows the light side and the dark side. The one sun is like a little dark, and obviously the one sun's just bright as anything. So it kind of foreshadows that kind of battle between the light and the dark, and that was a big one for me. Kind of looking back at it.
Fuck me, I never thought about
No,
that.
no, I'm like seriously, just look at the picture, right? Just look at the picture. Just look at the picture. Like they're literally foreshadowing.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but holy shit! I need to go rethink my entire
like literally, just pull up the picture and you can see it. Like it took me after I watched it like the 4th or 5th time, I'm like, wait a minute, they're trying to foreshadow something here, because it's not like they sat on it for like 2 seconds and panned away. They focused in on it and did like a little zoom in effect because George Lucas wanted you to examine that part, and that really stood out to me because I'm like, wow. It's like, and like you said before, Andy, it's like those little
Dude hasn't
tidbits.
said shit for like an hour.
It's like those
and
little
the
tidbits.
first words that came out of his mouth were something that I never thought of in 30 years. MC Theory, thank you for the super chat, my guy.
Appreciate it.
He goes, "What's up, guys? Do you watch Star Wars Theory?" I actually think that's a YouTube channel I like stumbled upon randomly. If that's what he's talking about, and I thoroughly enjoy the stuff that I'm finding on there.
Yeah,
appreciate the super chat, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and then I think my second one, which really isn't like a huge one, is just when the X-Wings are just navigating through the Death Star. Even like me when I was like 5 years old, the movie came out 20 years ago, and it had me on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my god, it still gets me. It still gets me every time.
It's like a 15-minute sequence, the whole battle of the Death Star.
Yep.
And I'll watch it randomly, whatever have you. But it makes me want to go to like a Dave and Buster's or
I know where you're going.
Out here we have Main Event, and play those Star Wars games because they still have to this day the Trench Run, and now they have it better. I don't know if you guys have something like it up there, but they put you now in. You open a door, you walk in this big ass pod.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's when I tell you it's a fuck. I think I know what I'm doing on my day off this week. Go to fucking Dave and Buster's. Yes. So, fuck. But it's so intense and it's so awesome, right? To give you that feel. So I get where you're coming from, Jake. MC Philly, yeah, he is awesome. Cool to see Philly fans and Star Wars fans here, man. Man, we appreciate you hanging out. Awesome time. Stick around. You're gonna enjoy a lot of what you're gonna see tonight and in the future. All right, Butters, waiting on you as always.
So, he brought up actually one of my favorite moments Jake did which would be the trench run. Always loved it. Favorite scene, them also, right before calling out the whole entire squadron. As a kid, I'm thinking, why are you calling each other out? What do you, what's with the, y'all know who you are. Y'all know you're there. Just fucking run. But I'm also, and then what always bothered me the most is the stormtroopers. How do you always miss? How do you always have armor on? How do you always die after one shot?
Nothing
anymore.
Nothing beats the episode in Rebels where Kanan and Rex infiltrate the Imperial Star Destroyer dressed as clone troopers. They have the helmets on, and Rex isn't hitting a shot. And Kanan goes, "Man, you really do shoot like a stormtrooper." He goes, "It's his helmet. I can't see anything." Takes the helmet and chucks it at the guy. Hits him in the helmet before he blasts him. I am rolling during that part.
Like, and that's my thing is like, can they just not see in that damn thing? Like, not to mention, and like I said, it's supposed to be armor. It's supposed to help prevent you getting killed, but yet every shot, one shot dead, one shot kill. Like, I get it's laser blasters, but come on. Wait, what? I missed something.
That's my boy Ryan. He's like my two close friends, Ryan and Andrew. They're probably even bigger geeks than I am. So, I told them about it, and Ryan's on point. Like, Tarkin wanted to cut the trooper program, and so you're getting less trained soldiers out there too.
And you see you see that now with the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are caught up on it, but
I am not, unfortunately. But I guess you would need
within the first 2 episodes, and I'll let you get back to it, Butters. Within the first 2 episodes, he talks about saying, fuck your clones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I guess you really wouldn't need an army per se. I guess you wouldn't really need an army per se if you got this huge ass Death Star looming, telling everybody, "Hey, I can blow up your planet. Go ahead and fuck with me." Right. I guess you really wouldn't need an army. You could have just enough to, go to the planet, take over a little bit, back and forth. But I guess at the end of the day, stormtrooper, you wouldn't need all these stormtroopers, and you wouldn't need them to care about whether or not they're going to live or die, because you got this big ass giant globe with a force crystal going, I'm gonna blow you up.
And to that, the whole approach for the Empire is it's about strength in numbers. Look at their TIE fighters. Their TIE fighters have no fucking shields. They don't care about TIE fighters. It's not TIE fighters getting shot down, but there's so many of them. They outnumber you. They swarm you. And that's the whole idea with the stormtroopers is it's about strength in numbers, and they don't care if you shoot down one or two. Like they're gonna outnumber you so much, and it's that's just their approach and how they build their army. And
and they were cheap, and the TIE fighters were cheaper to make.
Yes,
right.
Yeah,
the X-wings were the next step in the Republic's fleet. Like they were the next things that were coming.
Yeah,
but when Palpatine switched it to an Empire, he's like, "Fuck it, I don't want to spend the money on ships. We're not at war anymore." And your boy makes another point. That's what makes those damn defenders so deadly, and you see that a lot. The TIE defenders, and Sabine. I think that's what Sabine Wren ends up stealing in Rebels when they leave the fighter academy, is a defender because it can take a beating, and she mentions that. She goes, it may be slow.
I thought it was a fighter still. I thought
it was a defender.
Let's see. You could be right. I just don't remember.
It was either a defender or a bomber.
Let's see.
While you're doing
it's
though.
a regular TIE fighter, but she mods it. That's why it's able to sustain, because she steals it and then she mods it.
No, not that one. When her, Wedge, and somebody else leaves from the academy.
When Wedge leaves the academy?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the other one. Okay.
No. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. That's a great scene where Sabine's like, yeah, about that TIE fighter we stole.
Yeah.
And Hera's just like, what do you mean? So
what did you steal, honey?
It's a different color. Fuck. Episode 5. Right? Empire Strikes Back. Right? For me, as far as like an unsung moment or whatever have you, it's oh my god, I just blanked. I had it in the front of my head here. Yeah, all right, there you go. Sabine steals a TIE fighter and paints it. Ezra and Sabine try to steal a Defender but crash it to salvage the hyperdrive.
Yeah, so
I remember that.
Yep.
I like this Ryan guy. Where's he been all night?
They're bigger. They know more than I do. They're
fuck has that guy been?
Huh?
Where the fuck has that guy been?
Yeah,
Where's
Ryan
he been all
and
his life?
But everybody talks about the snow scene in the beginning, right? On the Battle of Hoth, everything of that nature. For me, I really love Han and Leia's interaction throughout the entire movie. Because yes, it's a plot point. Yes, it's a story, everything like that, but it could have literally been its own standalone entity.
Yeah.
Because they tell the story from the beginning all the way up to the end with Cloud City and the Carbonite and everything of that nature.
Yep. Yeah.
That is such a powerful element to the story because it's something different than we saw with the last one, right? These characters are more than just fighting a war. They're still humans as well. They still care for each other.
Yeah. All
these different things. Where does the movie fail? As iconic as the Luke, I am your father bit is.
Not the quote.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, right?
No, I know what you mean. I'm saying, like, for me, it's society misquoting it is one
But and it was, I get it, right? But that entire fight scene goes on way too long. It is way too, because like at one point, Vader's just throwing things at him.
Yeah.
And he's not doing this. Like the shit's just flying, and Luke's getting his ass kicked by like pieces of art.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's at that point in that fight where you lose me. Right? You get me back with the revelation of, holy shit, Vader's his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had me with, I love you. I know.
I know. Yep.
I know.
Yep.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then whatever the cluster fucking in the middle is, and then it's, I am your father. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I think
You know?
also a big like oh shit moment was when they walked into the dining room with Vader there. You don't know, like
Right.
you think
Yeah.
everything's copacetic, everything's good. No,
Lando's a bitch.
boom, boom. He has you, and yeah, that was crazy. Episode 5 to me, if you in terms of filmmaking, to me is the best film out of all 9 movies. Not
Mhm.
9, 10, 11 movies because of Rebels and Solo. I mean, not Rebels. Rogue One and Solo. Sorry, but in terms of just filmmaking, it's the most flawless. I think it's the best one,
Mhm.
and I think it's hard to point out for me like different points because I think it's a lot of it is just so well done.
Mhm.
I think like but for episode 5, here's a controversial statement I will make. All right, and I said this to my 2 friends, and they were like, "Oh, what?" I think the introduction of Boba Fett and Boba Fett carrying on to episode 6,
Mhm.
I think Boba Fett is an overrated character based on what you see from him in 5 and 6. He doesn't do jack shit.
Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything. You like people just see him. They think his armor looks cool. They think his ship looks cool, but he doesn't do anything.
Right.
And he becomes this iconic character that people like can't get enough of. But I always felt up to like if you just watch the original trilogy, like to me, I was like, what's the big deal with Boba Fett? Like I don't understand why he's so.
Boba was so different, though, from what we had seen, and I think there's a uniqueness about him
Mhm.
in that sense, right? Here's somebody with a jetpack. Here's somebody, he's a really good sharpshooter. Again, he doesn't do shit in the movies. Thank God for a series like Clone Wars and Mandalorian
Mhm.
that really takes the Boba Fett character and turn him into like an actual elite fighting machine. Because that scene in Mandalorian where he fucks some people's day up.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that was when you're like, okay, all right, I understand.
That's what makes Boba Fett so iconic at that point.
Exactly.
At that point, yes.
Which, by the way, has anybody watched not this week's episode of Bad Batch, but last week's episode of Bad Batch?
No, I'm 4 episodes in, so I didn't.
Okay. They tell you something about Boba, and we talked about it earlier when we brought up how the Jedi is like a religion.
Mhm.
It adds to that. Chux, Butters, I swear to Christ, I don't want to spoil it, but the revelation that is made in that moment, See, Ryan's freaking out in the chat.
Yeah, he is because he's seen it.
He knows. I watch it Friday mornings, and I watched it that morning before I could go to work. And I know my roommates are asleep. My one buddy's a DJ. The other one's just asleep. And I'm sitting in bed with like a pillow in my mouth, screaming, going,
We don't want to know what you do in the bedroom, man.
Hey, shut your mouth. But it was just, that gives you so much more appreciation for the Boba character, right? Like, Brian, I did the same thing. I purposely, and I was drunk the night before, I purposely sacrificed sleep for that fucking show. But Boba becomes so important.
Mhm.
And even more so now than I think ever. Like, Chux, I get your point. You watch that movie for the first time, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? And
Yeah.
why should I care?
Yep.
But
yeah.
now here we are.
Now
It's-
you see it now. Yes.
And again, even here we are in 2021, and he just got more important.
Yep.
Mhm.
It makes you look at now what the Book of Boba Fett's going to be and go,
Yeah.
wait, right? Jake.
Like, see, for like, there's no like big scenes that like, because I like to nitpick when it comes to this one, because I have very like specific scenes that I enjoy, like them escaping the Exogorth. That's a favorite for me. The asteroid field scene's one of my favorites. Obviously, the Battle of Hoth when they when Luke wraps around the AT-AT, that's iconic. You can't leave that one out. But one of my absolute favorite one, and you can laugh at me for
It was,
but I don't
no,
care.
It was Wedge. It was Wedge. It wasn't Luke. It was Wedge.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
What's his gunner's name? Crap.
I laugh because, while Chux figures that out, I laugh because you mentioned wrapping around the AT-AT, and it makes me call back to Civil War when Spider-Man goes, you know that really old movie, Return of the Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
Wes. It was Wedge and Wes. Wes Jansen was the gunner. Yeah, Wedge and Wes.
But continue, Jake. Sorry.
But my absolute favorite one from the movie, and it's not even like an important part, so you might have missed it, but it's just so hilarious to me, is when Yoda meets R2D2, and R2D2's trying to tell him to get away, and Yoda just starts smacking him on the head with the cane. It's I could watch it over and over again. Yoda's like, no! He just smacks the shit out of him. I love that scene too. I could watch that forever.
Yo, we have to, if you look at it this way, we have to give Yoda an Academy Award for acting and selling the trope that he put himself out. Like, he was completely out of character when he stumbled upon Luke, but it was all just a farce to test him. It was it was crazy.
And it's so crazy is like Yoda gets, I won't say gets forgotten about that, but in the grand scheme of that movie, you almost forget that Yoda's a part of it because of everything else that's going on after Luke leaves Yoda.
Right.
Well, not to mention,
you
know, him and R2 know each other, but neither one of them truly say anything to each other.
That's the other goddamn thing. Throughout this entire fucking godforsaken universe, you see that little white and blue droid, and none of you go, "Oh,
hey,
it's R2."
now I get it, right? Organa has R2's memory banks wiped, but ain't nobody wiping Obi-Wan and Yoda's.
Right.
I don't think R2 got his memory banks.
No, I don't think so. I think
did.
Episode 4, R2 realizes who Obi-Wan is. Obi-Wan doesn't say anything, but if you watch him on the Falcon, him and R2 have a moment. You know, that Obi-Wan does acknowledge R2, but he doesn't want anybody to truly know that they know each other.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, so you can kind of see it from Obi-Wan, because like Obi-Wan's also supposed to be Ben Kenobi. Yep. So he's trying to put it like, so I can kind of understand it. Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't want, you know, oh, I'm not General Kenobi. I don't know what you're talking about, you know. Versus, you know, Yoda knows who the hell R2 is. R2 knows who Yoda is. It's another one of those, let's not say anything, let's, you know, or it's just a matter of, I don't know, you get away from me. I'm not that child's father. Go away. You know, like, I don't know. It's one of those, where's the interaction? If y'all supposedly know each other, you couldn't say something quietly to each other without, you know, hey, we know each other.
Even Yoda acknowledges Ahsoka in Rebels, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? He just waved. They don't say a word. Yoda, in a very, because at that point, Yoda's gone crazy. And he's just a crazy old little green puppet.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him. If I've been by myself talking to ghosts for how many years, I'd go fucking crazy too.
But he just sits there and waves at her. She doesn't acknowledge him back. Like, she just nods and then cheeses it out of there.
He's just an old man that wants attention, damn it.
Exactly. Episode 6.
Oh, that's
I'm not going first.
You know,
Okay,
episode
well,
six
let's
probably
point. Go ahead, Butters.
episode 6 is probably one of my favorites. And the sad part is as a kid, you don't know how to watch this and what order to watch it. And that was one of the first one I watched. You know, I had the 3 VHS set. Yes, I'm fucking old. I said VHS. You know,
What's
I had the 3 VHS.
I did too.
Yeah, what is that?
I had the VHS too.
You know, I had the 3 VHS box set. You know, I just ripped the first one out like, let's watch this one. All right, great, awesome. What is this movie? I'm confused as a kid, and then you know you finally figure out you got to watch them in order. You got to watch them and figure it out. You know, but the whole Battle of Endor was always my favorite. You know, right there near the end, the whole trap setup, the whole, you know,
It's a trap.
Another trench run, and that's what didn't understand me the second time was you lose from another trench run. You couldn't learn from your mistakes the first time. You know,
but it's different though. It's different.
I get it, but how do you not set up security on a trench run? You knew the first time that you got screwed over by the trench, so why wouldn't you set up some sort of security for the second one?
I think it's because it wasn't finished.
Yeah, but you would think he'd have some sort of security out there near where it wasn't finished.
But it comes to it. That's what the shield generator was for, right? You can only do so much with an unfinished battle station.
And the ambush too. It was an ambush. They weren't like Ryan says it here. Favorite part of the movie, or his favorite movie. He loves the scene in the Falcon cockpit, and the TIE storm just comes screaming through. Like that's true. Like they didn't anticipate all the fleet, the Imperial fleet being there, so they were ambushed and caught off guard. That was the security. It was the false sense of protection.
Mm-hmm.
But he does also say that he does also ask us real quick, have any of you read the From a Certain Point of View books? I have not. They told me about it. It's a great apparently it's a great secondhand because you get a different point of view from all the original movies. Like it's from a different character's point of view in each, and they're great apparently.
I don't have the attention span to read a book.
I don't either. That's why I listen to audiobooks.
Wait, these fuckers are on audiobooks?
How? Of course.
We're gonna talk after the show.
Yeah, audiobooks are my life's
audio.
Audiobooks are great.
I can't read. Audio.
I'm not even going. We're gonna start a conversation that's gonna get me in a lot of trouble.
Right next to food, you said his other favorite word, audio.
No kidding. But I one thing I wanted to touch back on 5. I love the foreshadowing when Leia senses Luke.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't truly know why, but there's the foreshadowing there, and it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
As far as 6 goes, I love the Ewoks.
I've never had a problem with them.
I haven't either.
I love them.
Fuzzballs,
I love them. Chux, I have a joke for you off air because it is not the kindest joke in the world.
Who really doesn't like murder bears?
Murder bears.
That's not what I call them currently, but again, joke for off the air.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. Something that it out of all the movies, it kind of feels rushed for me though.
I can see that.
Right, like in order to get to the end of everything, it all just feels rushed, especially the scenes on Endor.
You mean like episode 9?
Fuck off.
It all seems rushed at the end.
That's the only thing for me to where I'm like, you know what? I'm glad, because at that point, right, you probably have already watched 4 and 5. Get the fuck on with it. This is 4. If you want to be real critical of the movie, this is just a repackaged 4 for all intents and purposes.
Well, yeah. Until you get to 7 and you're like, okay, no, 7 is a repackaged 4.
7's a repackaged 4. But when you're watching 6, you're kind of like, all right, the formula doesn't fully work here.
Mm.
You know, I get what you're trying to do, and once you get to the Emperor's throne room and all that stuff happens there, I think it's great.
Oh,
Another thing I could do without though is the scene with Luke and Anakin. And I say Anakin because he takes the helmet off him,
Right.
and you see Vader's face underneath.
Mhm.
I could do without that. I don't need that.
What's the reason?
I get it, right? Vader has killed the Emperor, right? Vader's essentially a good guy again, but don't ruin the mystery of what's underneath the mask for me.
What?
Okay.
Okay, I guess
Especially when you rip it off and he looks like fucking Zordon from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
90 for the 95 movie.
I get that, but here's the thing: like for me, I felt it was essential because remember, Obi-Wan says he's more machine than man. He's Darth Vader now. He's not Anakin, but it's symbolic because him peeling back the helmet and showing still whatever is human left goes as clarification, and it's clarification for Luke that there was still always good in him, and Luke wants to see that good. He wants to look into. Remember, you touched upon Anakin's eyes, how they turned yellow into Obi-Wan, but with Padme they weren't. He wants to look into his eyes, and he wants to see them. You know, Anakin wants to see his son, and not through the helmet that caused so much destruction and wreaked havoc and murder and everything. He wants to see him through his own eyes, to see what his offspring has become and helped him do. So to me, like, I get what you're saying, but to me, like, it was very, very, it was very important to put a close on Vader's arc, to say this is it.
And I get it, but as far as like a nitpick goes, and it just hit me as you were talking, you know, you talk about the good in him. What's the last line that Padme says before she dies?
There's still good in him.
There's good in him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to see that correlation and how everything plays together, it's so phenomenal in a backwards kind of way. Jake, what do you got for 6 before we go on to 1? Because I'm not talking about 7, 8, and 9.
We have to talk about 7, 8, and 9 at some point. We have to.
We will.
We though?
We
will, but we also have about 20 minutes left. So
Yeah.
Ish.
I think like one of my favorites. I have 2. One of my favorites is obviously Luke's fight with the Rancor. That's one of my all-time favorites. And then what was the other one? The speed bike chase on Endor. Oh my god.
Oh man.
That's another one I could watch over and over again.
That really was a good one. That's one of those, you know, heart racing, like,
yeah.
Personally, if that was someone like me, I don't think I could do it.
No.
You can't do it for other reasons. You can't do it for the same reasons I can't do it.
Try to say I'm fat?
Yes.
Oh, come on. You wouldn't want to see Jabba the Hutt on a speeder bike?
Oh my god.
Jabba the Hutt would keep a speeder bike.
That's true too.
He needs 5 speeder bikes.
But no, the speeder bike scene is phenomenal, and because it was the first time we'd seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you wouldn't see it again until the pod race scene in episode 1.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Butters, did you do 6 or do you need to still do 6?
No, I did 6.
Okay, so let's go straight in episode 1. Right, episode 1 where it all starts, and I did bring up the pod race just for a transition, but I think my favorite moment from that movie has to be the Battle of Theed. The whole damn thing at the end, from the time that they. Well, it's in Theed though.
Oh yeah.
Right now, don't get me wrong. The sequence where they activate the droids and everybody stands up, dope as shit. But once you actually get to Theed and everything like that, very, very cool. Anakin in the Naboo Starfighter, all of that, the battle. Nitpick wise, I think they spent too much time on, and it's a nitpick. It's truly a nitpick. They spent too much time laying the groundwork for who Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were, and not the rest of these people we were going to have to deal with.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
right. And the differences between now it makes sense once you finish the movie because they off Qui-Gon, but for them to never pick back up really on Qui-Gon again until Clone Wars, several decades later, it's a blemish on the movie for me.
Ryan says episode 1 has to be Naboo Starfighters. Dopest ship, not to mention getting that in Rogue Squadron N64. I never liked the Naboo Starfighter ships. I never thought they were good.
Darth Maul all day.
X-Wing. I was like, I liked it.
But see, the Naboo Starfighters were so, and all of Naboo's ships, they were so slick. There was a specialty to it.
To me, when I first, when I was young, first seeing the Naboo Starfighters, I look at them and then I see the way they run, and I'm like, that's backwards from what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You look at it, you go, well, this the pointed end's facing the front end, but then when you watch the movie, you're going, wait, that's the front end? That's the ass end to me.
Yep.
So before you guys give your bits, I want to bring this up. Kevin Dixon says, I got a question. This confused me on episode 1. I know Anakin didn't have a father, but I was always curious who his father was. And I get it that they talk about, the Jedi version of Immaculate Conception with the midichlorians and everything like that. But knowing what I know now about episode 9 and all the bullshit that went into that, I would have been so much happier if Anakin was actually Palpatine's kid.
Yeah. In a sense, you could kind of say that with the comic books, the way they set it up, is that Palpatine did,
manipulate. Yeah,
he made the Immaculate Conception with the midichlorians himself. So, she did conceive a child immaculately, but Palpatine used his powers to make that happen. He, in a sense, created Anakin.
But Palpatine didn't do the bam chicka wow wow and get the job done. So
he used his little superpowers.
I haven't heard that in forever.
Chicka
wow wow.
God.
But you can almost say technically Palpatine is his father in a sense.
Yeah, it's Butters pretty much hit the nail.
And if you
speaking of
think
nail
about it, you come full circle, then that would mean Rey's kind of is a Skywalker in a sense.
Fuck off.
She's all the Jedi. Such a joke.
Yeah, see, Ryan knows me. Ryan knows me so well. Yeah. Oh man. To me, the midichlorian thing was one of the worst things that came out of episode 1. I thought I hated the midichlorian count. Like, all right, so now we're getting all scientific. To me, the best part of episode 1 was the birth of the single greatest song in Star Wars lore, and that's Duel of the Fates.
Yes.
Duel of the Fates is the most badass fight song ever. Ever. I cannot. It's impossible to listen to that and not want to have a fight. Like, it's so.
It's a hype song to the point of when I was playing Call of Duty for a while there, or even when I'm playing Fortnite, every so often I'm just on my phone. Bum, bum.
Hey, it's always a good road rage song for me when I get road rage. Just turn it on and be like, all right.
Well, especially when Fortnite did the Star Wars bits.
Yeah.
And they gave everybody lightsabers.
Oh, well, yeah, I love that song. I absolutely love that song.
Jake?
I don't know. There's a lot of good ones, but I think the whole battle with Darth Maul, when Obi-Wan kind of responds after Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon Jinn, and you just see the rage build up in him, and just that was my favorite part personally. That was my favorite part for sure.
Okay. Episode 2 is my favorite.
Out of all the movies?
out of all the movies.
Really?
And I was explaining this earlier today. It's a tough watch up until they get to Geonosis.
Yes. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But-
Okay. Yep.
But
Okay.
and it didn't become my favorite till I got a little bit older, right? As a kid, it was my favorite solely because you saw all the Jedi in one spot,
Right.
all those lightsabers. Like that was cool. That was the pinnacle of awesome for me as a kid. But as you get older, once Geonosis happens and you realize how crucial everything is from then on out,
Yes.
right? It's so good. And then you see Dooku and you see Yoda fight, and you realize that Anakin can't keep his dick in his pants because he wants to jump in the sand after after Padme. You know, like
True though.
it's literally and it's so much. And I get it, right? 2 is probably one of the worst movies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like what
Right.
do you expect when
But
you're
I
a
like it.
teenager and you see a hot girl next to you? I mean, you wouldn't want to really, get it all wet inside. I mean, come on now.
But it matters so much to the overall story. Like Phantom Menace sets up the characters and puts all the pieces in motion. But 2 really gives you
see the beginning of everything starting. You know,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
because you get the clones. You find out like the clone army is being made. With Sifo Dyas and everything like that. I get what you're saying. And then what's his name? Why can't I remember his name? The one that was talking to on Geonosis, he was talking to Obi-Wan and saying like, "What if I told you?"
Count Dooku.
Dooku, thank you. He was telling Obi-Wan, "What if I told you that the Sith, is controlling the Senate and everything?" So I totally get it. To me, it's I'm if you know me, I'm a sap. Like I'm a romance guy. So
You don't say.
I like the romance part. I think the love story was neat, but I think it went way too overboard.
And it was creepy as shit.
Sand. And then like God, he touches her back. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I don't even get there. Just get to their first interaction in the fucking hotel in her chambers.
Yeah.
Where he goes, "You're more beautiful than I remember."
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways,
come on, man. He's
But-
he's trying to get into that. He's trying to, he's trying. He don't know a good pickup line if
God.
lightsabered him in the ass. I mean, come on.
But my favorite part, and this will always be my favorite part, episode 2, was when we first see Yoda fight.
Yes.
And I always was like, okay, Yoda's like the wise one. He walks around with a cane, and he's this short, wise guy. He's past his years, and like he is what he is. But then when he whips out his lightsaber and goes to work, I'm telling you guys, the first time I had that movie, I remember I saw it on my friend pirated the movie on a CD, and I watched it on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I must have rewound and rewatched Yoda's fight scene like 100 times in the first week it came out. Or like I watched it over and over. I'm like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And like, because like in episode 1, when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan whip out their lightsabers and they're fighting the droids, that's the first time you actually see like amazing lightsaber like fighting, right? Like you see Jedi's doing a thing, and you're like, holy crap! But then Yoda takes it up another level. I was in amazement watching Yoda fight.
Even from the basis of him just opening his robe and pulling the lightsaber to him with the Force. You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like I knew immediately. I was like, huh, you gonna fuck him up.
Oh yeah.
Oh God! And then Dooku tries to use Force lightning, and Yoda's like, nope.
Yeah, he's like,
Like,
nope.
No, bitch. No, bitch. Sit your ass down.
Back it up, boys. Back it up.
And there's no better scene than like Anakin running for him, and Dooku's like, bitch, please. And you kind of see Obi-Wan's face just go, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
You're just like, now I got to move this. Ugh.
Yeah.
I was getting away. Oh, God.
Ryan mentions another good one. Slave 1 in the asteroid field.
Yes.
Yes. That's another one.
Really, like all the ship moments in this movie. Slave 1 in the asteroid field, and then watching the gunships come into Geonosis, and that LAAT just sliding through, lasering all of them. Like all the ship scenes in that movie were great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you see Anakin lose the hand, and Padme and them get married, and fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay? I think if you want to say there's one thing that's really bad about that movie, like if you had to say, yes, this movie sucks, but what's the worst thing on there? Very easily, it's the Padme Anakin interaction through the whole movie.
Yeah. It feels so unauthentic. Like it's not like the story I like, but it seems so forced and awkward the whole time.
Forced. I see what you did there.
And yeah. And when they get to Geonosis, when they're about to be pushed out onto into the arena, and Padme confesses her love, it kind of feels like, since when? Like,
how?
What? Like, what did you? The whole movie, you detest him, and then now, like, you're in love with him. Like, it just didn't feel authentic.
What I will say, and this is a true testament to the Padme character, even though I've shat on her this entire show, is while Obi-Wan and Anakin are chained to this thing, she's like, I'm gonna climb it.
Yeah.
And she picks up a blaster, and she's like, I may be a politician, but fuck all of you.
Right?
But to that same notion, once they get on the animal with the chariot that brought them out.
Oh yeah.
She's just sitting there, bounce, just you're like, hold the gun, do something. Who else hasn't gone for episode 2?
I haven't gone yet.
Okay.
And this one you mentioned already, but I think one of my favorite parts is when Yoda arrives on Geonosis, obviously with the clone army. Me in 2002, my 2002 self was so excited. I'm like, oh shit! But and not one of my favorite parts, but one of the more pivotal ones, obviously the construction or the beginning of the construction of the Death Star, and then obviously when Anakin kills all the Tusken Raiders that killed his mom. Because then you because in episode 2. Obviously, you start obviously he's wearing the black and the leather. You start to see that shift a little bit, but then you really see the pendulum shift when he goes back home and he finds out his mom's dead. And my favorite part of that scene is just when he opens the curtain and you just hear, and you just hear the sound of him just massacring all of them.
Yeah.
Swear to God, that is the one scene in the movie that I don't care for.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Like his entire arc in that movie sucks so bad. I see Ryan's comment. Feel free to put it up there. I was gonna get there. I was trying to be nice about it. That's why I said Anakin can't keep his dick in his pants. We all knew why. Thanks for pointing it out.
Oh my
Okay.
That's so funny.
100%.
But Anakin's entire arc in that movie lacks supremely. Right? Who else still has to go before we do episode 3?
I do. I'd say favorite scene overall is the entire Jedi battle on Geonosis.
Yep.
Always loved it. It's one of my favorite things to watch. I watch it over and over again. But I'd have to say, I'm not sure what I'd call a bad scene, because you've already pointed out most of them. Anakin's whole arc, just the whole love gooey gaga bullshit between him and Padme. I could care less about that. Just give me.
Keep going. This is for 3. Keep going.
But I don't know. It's probably the only thing I could take away from 2 that wouldn't bother me. If they took it out, cool, awesome, bye, done. The rest of it was great.
So, all right, we're going to talk about 3. 3 we're going to condense down, but Prism, I don't know where the fuck this man has been, but he goes, was Anakin's name, mom's name, Martha? Fucking love you, Prism. All right, because we're running out of time and we want to at least touch a little bit on 7, 8, and 9. For 3, just favorite moments, nothing else. But I do love Jesse's comment. If Samuel Jackson wasn't given a Samuel L. Jackson 10-minute speech before he capped someone, Palpatine would have been smoked. I agree. Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
By far, for me, it's the Anakin Obi-Wan fight, but more specifically, when they're inside the control room on Mustafar, and they're swinging their lightsabers, and they never touch.
Oh, when they're spinning them around, and
the choreography. But in the grand scheme of it, though, when you watch the whole thing together, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It just looks funny as shit.
And then I've watched orchestras doing like Star Wars days, and they have people come out and act that out. And when you watch them do it, it looks so good.
Oh, I bet it does.
So that's my favorite moment of 3.
I'd have to say it'd have to be the Dooku fight at the beginning, but mostly for what I would think would be foreshadowing from Dooku.
Do it.
Because, Anakin says he's twice as strong now. Dooku says, when Dooku says, twice the pride, twice the fall. Look at the very end. Where does that pride get him? Fallen. Twice the limbs, cut off now. So it's like I really love the great foreshadowing there in the beginning towards the end.
I always go in between the two. It's either the battle with Obi-Wan and General Grievous, but I have to give the edge to Yoda's battle with Palpatine. Excuse me. That's my favorite scene of all time because they're in the Senate. And Palpatine's just throwing chairs at him. It's so ridiculous.
But before they even get into the Senate, Yoda walks in, looks at the 2 guards, and goes, "Fuck both of you." Palpatine goes, "Feel the true power of the dark side." Zaps him. Yoda gets up and goes, "That tickled." And bitch slaps him over the chair. Like the entire time. And Yoda goes, "If so powerful you are, why run?"
Yeah.
Like he's just like, and in like our terms, bitch, where do you think you're going?
Right.
Oh God, I watched that. I watch it over and over. I'm like, Palpatine never defeated Yoda. Yoda just kind of realized there's no point to this. Like again, you touch on it, like the long game. You realize that like this isn't about the fight. It's about making sure that Anakin's offspring are safe. So it's just like that. Again, anything with Yoda fighting is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yoda's putting it out there. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. Ryan does make a good point. I don't know if you showed this, but like that the whole thing feels like it happens within span of 3 days. It is very quick moving. I think like to me in terms of the movie, I don't know if I can pinpoint a favorite part, but just the movie itself, I always felt like it was one of the better films out of all movies.
Yes.
And a lot of people hate it. I don't understand why, because it's so forgive me if I'm wrong, but 1 and 2 were PG while that was PG-13. And a lot of it was just so much darker compared to what we've known Star Wars movies to be. And it shows that it was the end of the Jedi Order. Like, I just wish that like that when Order 66 was carried out, that the Jedi didn't seem like such weaklings. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seemed like, oh, okay, easy blaster fire, done. Like, you know what I mean? Like Master Kit Fisto like went out in the first 2 seconds with a fight with Palpatine. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be much better than that.
Yeah.
But like, like besides that, it's just the impact of that movie because usually in a trilogy, the third movie is, oh, happy ending. You know, everything is good. There's peace. No, third movie of this trilogy is it's over. Like you've
The
lost.
bad guys win.
The bad guys win.
Yeah.
A movie where the
Everything
bad
went to
guys
hell
win.
in a handbasket.
Mhm.
But and to touch on that, right? As far as like a fast-moving movie, two things. One, I have a little bit more appreciation for the movie and its quick pace
Mhm.
when you watch the final 4 episodes of Clone Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right? You
absolutely.
have such a bigger appreciation for that. But then to your point, I wish they would have taken the moment Order 66 is carried out and gave me probably 10 to 15 minutes more of that.
Okay.
Right? The fact that Ki Diamundi goes down like a bitch. Alea Secura gets just owned.
Yep.
Plo Koon gets shot out of the sky.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Kit Fisto gets turned into sushi. You know, all these little things that should have just played out a lot longer.
Yes.
The siege of the temple.
Yes. Yeah.
Anakin, like, don't show me the recordings of those things.
Mhm.
And side note, and again, I don't want to get caught on a tangent because we are running out of time. But, oh my god, I just blanked on her name. What the fuck's her name?
The librarian?
No, not the librarian. Shakti. Can
Oh, yeah.
somebody please, like, pick a way she's gonna die?
We've had what, like 20
in
different
the-
ways.
In the same movie, they have 2 different ways she dies if you watch the deleted scenes. So somebody fucking pick a way she dies. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, because like I said, we want to be respectful of time.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a few minutes left. Okay? But I want to get into 7, 8, and 9. And we'll do the same thing we do here. We can save 7, 8, and 9 for another, like a deeper dive into those movies. Because I think because of how much bullshit they've created, they do warrant their own section. Okay?
Yep.
But I know it's hard, try to come up with some good. There's a lot of bad. Okay? And give me a takeaway for 7.
God. I like for 7. I like the characters. Okay, like just as they are. It's easy. Like the easy route would be for me to be like, oh hey, they brought back the characters from the original trilogy, and it feels like so much nostalgia. It's awesome. But that's the easy way. I know all of us love that feeling. That's great. But but I love the characters themselves. I think like everyone always bashes on Rey for being a a Sally. Oh God, what do you call the phrase? But like pretty much, she just automatically gets all these powers. Like it's not a good character. But like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just her personality. I'm talking about Finn's personality and his character, like Poe Dameron. I know Ryan loves Poe Dameron.
And this is where Ryan and I don't get along, because when you guys come around to me, I'm literally going to say that this entire saga is based around Poe. Fuck the others.
Poe and like I totally understand that, and that's why I love the characters. And Ryan says it's a Mary Sue. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, you can make an argument she's a Mary Sue, but as her whole premise, I think is a good character build. So I liked it, and so Disney nerfed the lightsaber and it ruined for me.
Yep.
No way the guy takes a lightsaber to the back and just gets a gash. He should have been sliced in half like butter. But he was nearly dead, right? But it wasn't like I don't think what's his name? I don't think he got Finn full contact. I think he just kind of he didn't get to slice him the whole way. But to his point, I think that the lightsaber duels definitely were watered down. But I've also been told that it's because they don't have proper training. Rey doesn't have proper training with lightsaber duels, so of course she's not going to know the 7 forms of combat. There are 2. Okay.
Sorry, my thing crap. My iPad, the internet crapped out on me.
All good. But yeah, I think I like the characters, and that's my favorite part of 7.
Jake.
I have so many issues with this movie.
Like I said, save it for another time.
I have so many issues. I like what they tried to do. I'll be nice. I like what they tried to do with Kylo Ren's character.
Yep.
And just kind of. I was gonna say, yeah, exactly.
I like how it started out.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
like he could have been such
a into what it was.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like he could have been such a more complex character than what they portrayed him to be. Because what he turned out to be, I just wasn't a fan of. But he just had so much potential just as a character.
I will say this, and we'll get to it in 9, and also when we do the Disney saga. But 9's his redemption story.
Yes.
If 9 did anything right, it was fix Kylo Ren.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
For 7, it made me realize Poe is going to be the star of this new trilogy of movies, right? And it laid the while yes, it was a repackaged 4. It truly said, "Here's a new problem. It's your same old problem, but it's in a grander scale because they come in and fucking wipe out everybody, right?" And you truly feel that, hey, you know what? This resistance that they're building really doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah.
But they rally behind somebody like Poe, who kind of sucks, right? He's a cocky little fuck. But they rally behind this guy. Butters, did you do a bit for 7?
Not yet. I really liked, the introduction of, Snoke as a character. I wish they would have done more with him instead of going the route that they did near the end.
Oh,
he doesn't make it through 8.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could have had a badass character instead of bringing Palpatine back. You could have had this badass character in Snoke, introduce a backstory, and he was great as a new character. But then you go and just screw it all up.
We all know why. And I mean, I know we want to get an 8 and 9, but let's just get the elephant, out of the room here, or mention the elephant in the room. It's because they had 2 freaking directors who know nothing about the Star Wars lore, did not do their research, and had a different vision for each movie that they were doing. And so when you have Rian Johnson making 8, it's not even a Star Wars movie. That's consistent with everything Star Wars, and a lot of it, most of the movie makes no absolute sense at all. And then you have 9 that's trying to fix, half the time, it's trying to fix the problems from 8, but so it's essentially being 2 movies into one, but it still has no consistency with Star Wars lore. So like that's the problem. That's the big problem with the Golden Trilogy. That there's no direction, there's no unified. They don't understand the lore, and there's no unified direction of what the story should have been. I loved 7. I was in the minority. I loved 7. People said, "Oh, it's just episode 4." Yeah, it's just episode 4, but it helps lay the groundwork. I was really excited where they were going to go after 7.
7's my favorite. Of those 3, 7's my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a lot of like, wait, what the fuck did they just do in that movie? Right? Then you get to 8, right? And I think my favorite, and again, 8's such a calamity of a clusterfuck. It's so hard to pick. My favorite thing in 8 is when the visual of when the late, and I can't remember her name. It's not Hondo, because that's the pirate from
Holdo.
Thank you. When Holdo does the hyperspeed,
the Holdo maneuver.
That's
what they're calling it.
And just how they shot that and how it all looks.
Yes.
Right? That entire cinematic right there was awesome for me.
I'd say for 8, it was Luke's fight with Kylo Ren.
Yes.
I thought that was, to me.
Oh
that
yeah, that's a given,
yeah.
right? It's just a big fuck you to Kylo Ren too.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked, the whole Kylo Ray fight of fighting over the lightsaber. Who's going to get the lightsaber first? The lightsaber breaking in half. That whole scene, Snoke's death. That whole thing was just, to me, a great moment.
With me for 8, I think I was a bigger fan of this moment more than a lot of people. I was a big fan of Finn and Phasma's battle. I was a big fan of that.
I think they could have developed Phasma better as a character.
Yes. Yeah, they absolutely could have, for sure.
Absolutely.
You put this character in silver, chrome, stormtrooper armor, and you don't do anything with her? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did nothing with her.
Exactly. And then for 9, Lando, like the part where Lando and all them come in at the end.
Yes.
And just that, how you like, again, I think the whole franchise is built around Poe, truly. How just defeated he is and he's ready to give up. Yeah. And Lando shows up with everybody.
Yeah.
The ghost
Lando's shedding the light.
Yeah.
Everybody's there.
That's my part too. Yep.
You get the little cameos and all of it is just so good. Mm-hmm. I will say the moment that made me in the movie theater bust out laughing is when Kylo's fighting the Knights of Ren and he puts his hand behind his back, pulls out the lightsaber, just goes,
yeah. Kills him.
The force dyad. It's what it's called. It's a force dyad.
No, I know, but it's just a funny moment.
It's a great moment.
I loved the yes, that is my favorite scene in all the. What did he say?
All the 9 movies. Brings a tear to my eye every time I see it. I love it.
Yeah, he's all about ships. Ryan loves ships. I personally
challenge accepted, bitch.
Then you have to get me to watch episode 9.
Yeah,
Brodo, I'm telling you, 9 is better than 8. 9 is better than 8.
By far,
it's better.
9 is definitely better than 8. To me, the most pivotal movie, my favorite moment was probably Han appearing to Kylo. I think that whole like right before it too, the buildup of Leia dying was heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching. And then Kylo feels it, and then he ultimately almost dies. But it was all capped off with Han appearing to him, whether it was Force Ghost or just a memory, illusion, whatever you want to call it. But that scene, the way it circles back to Han's death in 7, to your point, Ritz, and how 9 shows his salvation, it's a great moment for that character, because he is supposed to be something else, and there is always good in him, but it takes something like that to get him to
and we'll end on this note, right? And then we'll get out of here, because like I said, we're running out of time. No. We will definitely do the Disney saga of Star Wars, because I truly think it does warrant its own episode, right? And
there's so much to pull from it.
There's so much to pull from it. Does Carrie Fisher dying change the outcome of that movie, from a sense of, would it have been Harrison Ford as the Force Ghost, or would it have been Leia?
I think that does change the outcome.
Right, so I want you to think on that. Ryan drops in here. Did you guys catch the color change in Rey outfits through the movie to represent her travel through the dark side of the Force? I did. And did you also? I found this on TikTok the other night, and I had to go back and watch it to make sure I was right. Go back and watch when Rey ignites her saber at the end of 9. Watch the middle piece of her lightsaber.
It's her
flash. No, fuck that. It flashes blue and green before it goes yellow.
Oh,
okay.
Yep. But guys, this was a shit ton of fun. We didn't finish everything.
Loads
we
of fun.
To. Obviously,
we did it.
as
We did it.
as
It's
in
Star
typical-
Wars. It's ever expanding.
As in typical A2D fashion, we didn't finish everything we wanted to. So this
To be
this leaves it-
continued.
This does leave it open for part 2. We'll have to find another time to do that. That works for everybody's schedules, and with for us Butters, we've got Money in the Bank coming up in just a few weeks,
Yep.
and with Edge and Zelina back and everything like that. So we've got some stuff to talk about next week on In This Very Ring. Chux, with spring training on the horizon for you guys as well. You guys have a lot coming up on Birds of a Feather, and Jake for you on Fan Friday.
Yep.
I do have a request before we pay some bills. I was asked to put this back up again.
Damn it all.
It's a horrible picture of me, you bastard.
What's with the fucking bird? What is with the bird?
That's Jake.
That's what I
Oh
figured.
my
The
god.
bird is Jake.
That's what I figured.
Oh my
The
god.
bird is Jake. All right, we're
Then
gonna
you
pay
should have
some
put a
bills.
picture of Jake up there.
No, he did. We're gonna pay some bills, and Jesus Christ, you showing the titles? Focus
Oh
in.
no, sorry. No, my phone fell down.
Focus in. Big shout out to the guys over at Fuel the Geek for sponsoring this episode. We couldn't have made this happen without them. Super grateful for them. If you guys aren't a part of that group, you've got to join it. Mike, Tony, and all the guys over there, they run a hell of a ship. They're super supportive of our channel, of In This Very Ring, of Lazy Booking, mostly because they're wrestling nerds just like we are, right? And they were super excited for this show as well. We would be remiss if we didn't thank our sponsors, as always, Body Check Wellness. They're a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 20% off your order at bodycheckwellness.com. Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, specializedphysicaltherapy.com, or at Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc. Make him yours. Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you ever need help with mental health therapy or addiction detox, give them a call at 856-651-8117. This is not something we screw around with. We all firmly believe and support these guys. Please give them a call. Don't wait. If it's you or somebody you know, doesn't matter. Alan Foy of eXp Realty, 302-682-8820. He's the guy you want to talk to if you're looking to buy or sell a home, or if you're looking for a change in career or brokerage. If you want to check him out on the web, that's alan.foy of exprealty.com. We also have our A2D memberships, $9.99 a month. Remember, that's what's best for business. You get to appear on shows, members only streams, shoutouts, and weekly sports picks for the Money Pot podcast, which, by the way, check those guys out tomorrow morning. And Manscaped. Get the right tools for the job and unlock your confidence with Manscaped. Use the promo code A2D in the checkout store for 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. Chux, Jake, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming and hanging out with us tonight. This was a ton of fun. Butters, I will see you right here next week. We will recap everything happening in the world of wrestling and get ready for Money in the Bank and for fans coming back. So make sure you guys check us out next week. And make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms, all our shows. Check out Jake every Friday night on Fan Friday. And check out Chux every Thursday night on Birds of a Feather. I'm Ritz. That's Butters. We're out of here. Peace, love, and joy. And may the Force be with you.
Always.